Always waiting on YouTube. Ugh. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. So this is a stream that I had planned out. I have done a couple of live streams of Final Fantasy XIV here on the channel, and it seemed like you guys enjoyed those streams and you enjoyed the game. Some of you even talked to me about how you were going to start playing the game and you were interested in everything. And based on that level of interest, and my continuing, enjoyment of the game, I thought that I would do a Ask Me Anything stream for Final Fantasy XIV. So that is what we have here today. So in this video, I'm going to be asking questions, or not asking questions, answering questions that you guys have. Some of you have left comments on the previous video, so we're going to check those out. And if you have any questions during the chat here today, I'll answer those to the best of my ability as well. Fear, what's up? How's it going? Thanks for tuning in, man. So that is the game plan. But along with that, I'm also going to be offering some tips and tricks and things that I think that you should know if you're getting started playing Final Fantasy. So obviously this is coming from my perspective of someone who's played many MMOs and, played a lot of World of Warcraft. And much of my audience has also played World of Warcraft, so I'll probably be making some comparisons to that here as we start the stream and throughout the stream. But as much as possible, I'm going to try to keep the advice, tips, and things that I give here as generic as I possibly can and not get too into a bunch of crazy game lingo and stuff like that. So we're going to be switching back and forth a little bit here. We're going to be doing stuff in game. We're going to be doing stuff, checking out the desktop and etc. But we're going to kick things off by talking about the intro experience. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is character creation. So let's see. Let me pop back out here and get ourselves some music going here. And let me crank that down just a little bit. Got that crazy. I love the soundtrack for this, that crazy title track. So let's take a look at character creation real quick. So when you get in and you're going to make your first character or a new character, you've got a variety of options. So Final Fantasy doesn't have factions or anything like that. So first off, there's no like, oh, which faction do I want to play if I want to play with my friends? That's not a thing. Second off, there are no racial abilities or anything like that. So the race that you choose, you can choose purely based on your aesthetics. So you don't have to worry about that when you're jumping in. So if we wanted to jump in here and for the memes, let's say we're going to make a bunny girl. It doesn't matter. We can pick whatever we want here. There are a couple of races right now that are gender locked. So the Hrothgar and the Viera are gender locked. So there's only male Hrothgar right now. They did say that in the future they're going to add in female Hrothgar, but it's not going to be coming anytime too soon. Now with the arrival of Endwalker, the Viera is actually getting a male version of the race. So Endwalker is coming out in November, and I think either that patch or patch 6.1 they're going to be adding the male Viera. But right now, if you want to play a bunny, it's going to be a bunny girl. But like I said, the race doesn't matter. You're picking it purely for aesthetics. The gender doesn't matter either. You can pick that for aesthetics. So we're going to go with a here, or higher, or however you want to say it. Just kind of your standard human. Down here, you've got like a couple of different poses. These don't do anything either. They just let you look at your character in different environments and see how they would look in different places around the world. Once you get in here, you're going to have a couple of other options. So you have the clan. Okay, the clan is another thing. It does not have a major effect on the gameplay. What's up, Christopher? Thanks for tuning in. It doesn't have a major effect on the gameplay. There's no like clan abilities or anything, but there is a small difference in the starting attributes. So if we look at the Midlander here, we've got 22 strength, and the Highlander has 23. 19 dex, 20 dex, 20 vitality, 22 vitality, 23 intel, 18 intel, 19 mind, and 20 mind. So if you're like, I'm going to roll this character and I'm just going to play this one caster class or something, maybe you can like min-max the hell out of this and like pick the character that has a little bit more starting intel or something like that. But at the end of the day, your character can play all the different jobs and classes in the game on one single character, and these attribute differences are literally like 1s and 2s, so I would not get hung up on the starting attributes when picking a clan. So the clan, you're picking it for the background over here, the sort of roleplay aspect, and also you kind of get an idea of the vibe that they're going for with the character clans as well. And I think like an easier way to see this is if we were to go back to race and gender. Like if we pick the Hrothgar here, which is what my character is, we go into clan, you have the Hellions and you have the Lost, and you can just kind of see like the Hellions have this sort of like desert lion tattoo thing going on, and the Lost are more like pale skinned, you know, look kind of more like wolves or an Arctic clan. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really matter. So like if we pick the Hellions, we can go in here and go to skin color. We've got all these browns and reds. If we go back and we switch that over to the Lost and we go to appearance, skin color, we've got a little bit of a different palette here. So when you're focusing on your clan, I think it's more important to focus on the aesthetics of the clan than it is to focus on the little starting attributes over here. So once you got in and you've chosen a clan, we're going to go back out. Actually, we'll go here, here. You will notice, like, as I move around the menu, like over here, this button just totally quits out of your character. Whereas you can hit confirm and go back and check out the different things that you've been working on here. So we can go back and change back over to our human. Let's go to clan. We'll make him a Midlander. Go to appearance. Appearance, you guys know what to do with an appearance thing. This is, you know, pretty straightforward. No tips or anything to answer as far as these go. When you're picking out a voice, one thing I would encourage you to do is, like, if you're listening to like the different types, once you've narrowed it down to like 2 or 3 you like, make sure you check them in all the different emotes that they have here, because sometimes somebody has like a really cool, you know, oh, I'm pissed off, but then you get over to their laugh and they're like or something weird, like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it feels like it doesn't always line up. So once we've confirmed our visuals, you have the option here. This is going to pop up. It's going to say save appearance data. You don't have to do this. This is just if you want to like access this data again later. You can hit no and just carry on with your character. So then you're picking your character's date of birth. Again, this is mostly for roleplay purposes, so you can pick whatever you want here. It's up to you. And then you're going to pick your patron deity. This is also mostly roleplay specific. So a lot of that stuff, it's easy to get hung up on and be like, what do I pick? What do I do? Is this important? I don't know. No, not really. It's not really that important. Don't get hung up on it. When you come in here, you're going to see Disciples of War and Disciples of Magic. Okay, Disciples of War are your tanks and your physical DPS style characters. Disciples of Magic are going to be your healers and your magic casters. So when you first start out, a couple things. What I recommend that you go down here to attire, which you can still see here, and you hit this one that says job. So this will show you what your character looks like in sort of a end game outfit. Z-Rhythm, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate that. So if you hit the job attire down here, you can see kind of what your character is going to look like towards, you know, in end game. I mean, ultimately, the end game is making your character look like Mario or a cat stripper or whatever floats your boat. I'm sure we'll see some interesting people when we log in here. So when you are choosing over here, a couple of things. One, you can play every job and every class on the same character. There is some investment that you make into a job and class that if you decide you want to change, you kind of have to reset, but it's not as big of a deal as on like a different MMO, really, where you have to entirely like create a new character. So the reason I mention that is you can just kind of pick something that you think looks cool or looks interesting, and if you end up not actually liking it, you can just switch. So, you know, you don't have to get super hung up on what class you're gonna play right out the gate, right? You kind of want to have a decision made before you start leveling past around level 20, I would say. But up until that point, you've got a lot of flexibility. And we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the ways you can kind of actually try the classes at higher levels before you actually level them that high. So we'll get to that and talk to that later. So for Disciples of War, you have the Gladiator. The Gladiator is the class that becomes the Paladin job. Okay, and I mean, you can kind of tell, like the armor looks like that. The Paladin is a sword and shield tank. A lot of the tanks in this game have similar abilities. Like for the most part, they're going to have an AoE. They're going to have some kind of like engage ability, some sort of ranged attack. They're going to have some weapon combos, some taunts, some defensive abilities and cooldowns. So they do have flavor to them, but they're pretty consistent in the fact that like whatever tank you pick, you're going to have access to the majority of the tools that you would need, you know, regardless of what tank you're on. What's up, Cass? Oh, thanks. I'll see you when you get home then. So that's the Gladiator. The other tank that you have access to right at the start is going to be the Marauder, okay? And the Marauder does not look like a tank, but the Marauder becomes the Warrior, and the Warrior is a tank. They use a two-handed weapon, and instead of like doing a bunch of defensive stuff, they do kind of like a lot of health regen type stuff. They bring their own HP back, and this is actually the first character I got to level 50. I decided to jump on and play the Marauder and then become the Warrior and kind of tank my way to level 50. Now, there are two other tanks that you can play, but you can't access them from the beginning, okay? You have the Dark Knight, which you can get later on. I believe you have to hit like level 50. We'll look at the technicals for unlocking jobs later, so just look for that later in the stream. But you can get the Dark Knight, I want to say around level 50 or so, and you can get the Gunbreaker as well, which I think is 60 or 70. Those are two other tanks, but you're going to have to level a character before you can play either one of those. So if you want a tank, these are your two options. Now, along with this, we have two physical DPS characters that you can play as. So we have the Pugilist. The Pugilist is a hand-to-hand combat fighter that focuses on different stances and combo attacks. Think of them as like a monk or a kung fu style fighter. They do eventually become the monk class. And yeah, they're focused on positioning. They're focused on swift attacks and kind of rolling their combos of abilities together. And then the next one we have is the Lancer. The Lancer is a spear-wielding melee DPS that does a bunch of like jumps. It's kind of crazy. You sort of jump out of the ground and then come down and crash down on your enemies. And they also use a main mechanic. So if you're wanting to play a physical DPS character, then you're going to choose Pugilist or Lancer. Now, there are a bunch more jobs that you're going to be able to access that are physical DPS or melee DPS later. So in addition to the monk, like Pugilist becomes monk and Lancer becomes the Dragoon. That's the class or the job that they become. You're going to hear this a lot. Class, job, class, job. What's the difference? Basically, class is the starting character role that you're playing, and job just means it's an advanced version of that. So your base classes turn into jobs at level 30, and then there are more jobs that are available that start at 30 or higher. Okay, so if you hear people saying class, they're just talking about the very starting things that you can be. If they're talking about jobs, they're talking about the actual in-game roles that you play. So Pugilist becomes the monk at level 30. Lancer becomes the dragoon at level 30. You also have the ninja, which comes from another, not starting class, but a class that you can get pretty early on called the rogue. And then you also have the samurai for melee DPS as well. So there is another melee class that you can unlock pretty early on. I want to say it's level 10 or 15. It might even be earlier than that. It's called the rogue. And you have to do a little quest and stuff to unlock it. But the rogue uses 2 daggers. And it's focused on fast attacks and like stealing and stealth. And that class at level 30 can become the ninja. So when you're thinking about your melee DPS options, you've got access to the monk, the dragoon, and technically the ninja, all pretty early on. And outside of that, if you want to play the samurai, you're going to have to level a character and unlock that later on. Now, that leaves us with the physical range DPS, and the only option that you have to start out with here at the beginning is the archer. So the archer is a bow wielding character that becomes the bard. Okay, and the bard uses a bow, but also uses songs and melodies to buff and debuff and provide support. They are not like a healing class, but they do have some support capabilities, but they also do just put out crazy DPS. So that's pretty much the only ranged DPS, ranged physical DPS option that you have from the start. Later on, you can unlock the Machinist, which will use guns and bullets and flamethrowers and stuff. And you can also unlock the Dancer, which uses 2 kind of like circular chakram looking blades to do ranged attacks. But both of those come later on. So if you're looking for that traditional sort of like physical range DPS, archer is what you're looking at. That gets us into the Disciples of Magic. So for the Disciples of Magic, you have these split between your healers and you have them split with your magic ranged DPS. So you have the Conjurer. The Conjurer is your base level healing class. And this eventually becomes the White Mage. The White Mage you can think of as like the Holy Priest from World of Warcraft. They're focused on just big, pure healing. Like healing just straight up. Your health goes down, your health goes back up in a big chunk. That's what the Conjurers and the White Mages do. Then you have the Arcanist, and the Arcanist is a weird class because it is the only class that can split into 2 different jobs once you hit level 30. So the Arcanist can become a Scholar, and a Scholar is a healer kind of mixed with a little bit of status effect damage dealing type stuff. So they can do both of those things. So this is the early on alternative to the White Mage. So if you don't like that style of healing where you're just like healing in big chunks, you want to try something a little bit different and you want to put some dots and things like that onto the enemies, then this is going to be the way to do that through the Scholar. Now, that brings us into the magic range DPS, because if you're leveling the Arcanist at level 30, you can also choose to instead become the Summoner. And the Summoner is a magic damage dealing class that also can summon a pet and can summon big monsters to do big abilities on the enemies. So this is a pet focused magic range DPS class. And then finally, the last class we have to start with here is the Thaumaturge. The Thaumaturge becomes the Final Fantasy equivalent of the massive elemental magic dealing sorcerer, wizard, whatever. It becomes the Black Mage, and the Black Mage does a lot of just big AoE spells that they have to stand still for, so they do get locked in a lot of times in their positioning. And then later on, for healer, you are able to access one more healing class. It's called the Astrologian, which is just the way I'm going to pronounce it from here on out until someone tells me I'm doing it wrong. But the Astrologian is hard to describe at the moment because it is being changed in Endwalker. My understanding of it right now is that it is kind of like a hybrid between spells, dots, and shield healing. But with the arrival of Endwalker, they're going to be changing this class and moving it away from shields to accommodate for the new healer they're adding to the game in Endwalker. So those are your three healing options. You can either go Conjurer into White Mage, you can go Arcanist into Scholar, or later on you can unlock the Astrologian. As far as the magic range DPS goes, you have access to the Summoner by leveling the Arcanist, or you can level the Thaumaturge to get the Black Mage. Later on, you can unlock the Red Mage, which is a hybrid between a class that casts a lot of spells, but also does some melee attack moves as well. I really like that class quite a bit. And there's also the Blue Mage job, which is not an end game job. And I know that sounds really weird. Don't worry about it, okay? It's not one that you take into consideration as the class you want to play at end game because it cannot do that. Now, the final thing here with classes is that Endwalker is the next expansion for Final Fantasy XIV. It's coming out in November, and they are adding 2 classes with that expansion. The first one that they're adding is the Sage, which is a healer that's going to be a shield-based healer. So think Discipline Priest from World of Warcraft, and you have a decent idea of kind of the direction that's going to go in terms of gameplay. And then they're also adding a new melee DPS class called the Reaper, and the Reaper works with like not necessarily a pet, but like a weird spirit, and it looks pretty cool. It uses a giant scythe. So that should get you into figuring out what you want to play. Again, I want to emphasize that it's not that big of a deal which class you pick necessarily at the beginning, because you can always change it. Now, there's one other important thing here, and this may be important for you as a solo player, but it's definitely going to be important for you if you're going to play with a friend. Each of these classes has a different starting zone, and you can see that here in the corner. So, if I want to play a Gladiator and my friend wants to play a Marauder, we are not going to start in the same area. Okay, Gladiator starts in Ul'dah, and the Marauder starts in Limsa Lominsa. So this shouldn't stop you from just playing what you want to play, but if you're going to play with a friend, the best thing to try to do initially is just get in the same starting zone and say, okay, well, I'm going to play a Gladiator, I'm going to play a Pugilist, we're going to start in Ul'dah, we could start questing together. So that's another consideration to make. Once you've chosen your class, then you're going to be selecting your starting world. And we're going to go in here and check this out. There are some special zones, but I'm not seeing them. Oh, it's probably because I'm not new. There are some recommended zones that servers, worlds that you can play on, and when you play on them, they will give you a boost in XP up to a certain point. And I would recommend, that you check those out, because you will get that acceleration to your XP gain so that you can kind of catch up a little bit faster. It's a really cool concept. It's something I like that Final Fantasy does, is they have these servers laid out where if you're a new player, you can hop on those servers and you can get an XP boost I think it's a level 30 or 50 or something like that. If you want to play with me, I am playing on the Midgar Stormer North American server. So you're welcome to hop in there if you want. It's a pretty full server, but that's okay. All right, so let's back out of here. We're going to answer a couple of questions from the chat real quick. Let's see. Has he told you all yet how many times I've gotten excited because he was going to play this game? I know. And then I decided I was gonna make good on my word and actually get my character to max level. By the way, this is my character looking like a total boss. Looking like Shrek, honestly. With my oven mitt gloves. I'm like leveling alt jobs, so I just have like trashy level 1 stuff on. Can you pick the music? You can't pick the music when you're in the open world, but you can get the music, and you have a little apartment that you can go to, and you can get like music logs that you can play on a device inside of your apartment. So you can listen to the soundtrack that way if you want to. All right, so I'm going to get logged in here. Oh, and this is something to note, okay? This is what Final Fantasy does. I'm going to hit log in. And okay, it just logged me in. Cool. Most of the time, you're going to get a notification that says like, oh, like, here we go. Okay, good. It did it. It says this world is currently full. Players in queue 41. You will almost always get this because this is just a system that Final Fantasy puts into place to prevent mass simultaneous logins. Like, even if there's like 3-4 people all trying to log in at once, it'll basically put you into a queue. These queues are not like ridiculously long. I say that, and this one's probably going to be long because I'm live streaming, and that's just how it works. Oh, that wasn't too long. But those queues are not long because they're not actual. Most of the time, they're not actual like queues like you get in, you know, World of Warcraft or on an expansion launch day or something like that. It's just you're getting placed into a line so that the login servers can't get overwhelmed all at the same time. All right, so Z-Rhythm dropped a comment here with some questions, and we're going to go over some of these questions. So do the racial buffs in class come into play in character creation like in WoW? I think I'd answered that pretty thoroughly. The answer is no. The race doesn't really matter. There aren't any racials for you to worry about or clan specialties or anything. Literally the only game mechanic that I'm aware of that comes into play with your character creation is those starting stats when you choose your clan, but the difference is so minor that I honestly don't think it matters at the end of the day. What's the best way to set up the UI? I don't know the best way to set up the UI, but I am going to talk about setting up the UI here a little bit later on. Okay, I think that's most of the questions we had there. You did say you mainly played Affliction Warlock in WoW. And if you wanted to play something similar, I would say go with the Arcanist, possibly into Summoner. If you wanted to go the DPS route, or into where did my brain Scholar if you want to go the healing route. I really do not like, I haven't gotten into healing in this game too much, and I am not really keeping track of the healer names. And that's a pretty cool outfit. That looks like something out of Phantasy Star Online. Let's go around. This is the actual end game. All right, so easy tip. Squares, AFK. These little sprouts, new players. The little sprout with the crown, returning players. I'm not sure what the blue one is. I don't remember the blue one. Maybe someone will tell me. But there's also a little indicator that'll show people that are looking at cutscenes as well. Okay, delivery moogles are the equivalent of mailboxes. So if you are looking for the mailbox, you are looking for the mailbox icon on your map. but it's not actually a mailbox. It's a delivery Moogle. So if you have any login rewards or anything like that, you'll want to access those via there. All right, next tip, Chocobo Keeps. Chocobo Keeps are kind of like your... So this game has kind of like 2 different flight path systems, if that's what you want to call them. So the first one is the Chocobo Keeps. So at the Chocobo Keeps, you can hire a Chocobo Porter, and a Chocobo Porter will take you to nearby areas. This is really handy before you get a mount, or if you want to travel somewhere and you just want to AFK the whole time. For whatever reason, you can hire a Chocobo Porter, and you'll literally hop on this Chocobo, and it will not fly you, but ride you out of town to wherever you need to go. The other flight point style system is the Aetheryte system. So big town hubs will have a giant Aetheryte crystal like this. You can run up to it and right click on it, and the first time you do that, you'll see a little bar and it'll say attuning. Once you're attuned to the crystal, you can open up your map, and wherever you want to go, as long as you have that crystal attuned, you can teleport there for a cost. Now, some places, mainly your major city hubs, also have smaller Aetheryte crystals that you can attune to. So if we go to Gridania here, Gridania is one of the main cities in the game. It has the big Aetheryte crystal, but you can also see these little Aether teleport crystals here. This one's for the Archers Guild. Let's see, let's go up here. We've got one here for the Leatherworkers Guild. There's one over here for the Botanist Guild. You'll see I can't teleport to those, but when I'm in New Gridania, the city, I can run up to any of these and teleport between them. And I will show you that real quick. So let's go over here to Gridania. So we'll cast our teleport. It's going to load us in, and then I'll show you how those little teleport crystals work. Again, in order to use these, you have to run around and attune to them in the city. But they're really handy for getting around the city. Sometimes the maps in this game can be a little bit confusing, and a lot of times, for me, it's easier just to like click on the quest, pick the little node that's closest, and teleport to it instead of trying to figure out how to run there. You got to run there the first time, but that's about it. So I can go here, and I can go to the Aethernet, and then I can choose, like, let's go over to the Leatherworkers Guild. So now I'll get a fairly fast teleport over to the Leatherworkers Guild. This one might be a little bit slower because there is a load screen between the zone I was in and this one. And so this will take me to a small Aethernet shard. Right? And it might be Ethernet, but I'm saying Aethernet. Okay, and then from here I can teleport to any of the other shards in the city, or I can teleport back to the plaza. The plaza is going to be where that main big one is at. Cool. Okay, so that is how you get around in Final Fantasy. So anytime you see a big blue crystal like this, make sure the first time you do, you run up to it and you right click it so that you can attune to it, and then you will have it ready and you can fast travel to it whenever you want to. Okay, next let's talk about quests. Okay, you have three types of quests, I guess. I think it's 3. I mean, technically it's 4 if you want to, get technical about this. So you have your main quest. Your main quest is going to have this icon on it here. It's a meteor, but it's really just a circle with a bunch of fire around it. Let's see. You guys can see that here. My next main quest is called Extinguishing the Last Light. This is the main story quest, or the MSQ, and you'll see people talk about that all the time. They're going to say, you're going to ask like, well, what do I do? What's the best way to level? On your first character, the best way to level is to play the MSQ. Play the main story quest. Just stick to that and don't deviate from it except for one other type of quest, which we'll talk about. So that other type of quest are blue quests, okay? So if I'm looking on my map here, I see, oh, I got a quest here, I got a quest here. And then right here, I have a blue quest. So the background on this is blue. And we can go look, and you'll be able to see that above the person's head, the exclamation mark will also have a blue background. So it's really, really easy to tell these quests apart from the regular ones. Okay, so right here, we've got that blue background, and it has the plus symbol. These quests will unlock features, dungeons, zones, etc. So if you see these, you almost always want to take the time to complete these. Now, this one here is for me to become a leather worker, which is one of the crafting gathering classes in the game, right? Which I'm not really worried about that right now, but you know what? I'll just hit yes. Cool, let's become a leather worker. Yep, I'm not worried about all this text. Wow, this is a lot of backstory for a leather worker. You didn't even give me the quest. There we go. Okay. Now, once you've got the quest, that will go away. And over here on the side, you'll get a pop-up with you able to track that quest. Now, the third type of quest is the one that you guys saw over here. It's just a regular exclamation mark with a brown background. That just means it's a side quest, okay? It's not the main story quest. It's not going to unlock any features for you. It is there primarily for story content and for extra XP if you need it, etc. And then finally, the other thing I was going to mention is sometimes you will see a quest that is red. That means that you currently don't meet the requirements for this quest. It could be that you're not the right job. It could be so this one is at the Conjurer's Guild. So I'm pretty sure if I went in, so let's take a look at this. Right now it's red, but if I go over and switch to my Conjurer, now that quest is blue with a plus, meaning this is a job quest. You always want to do your job quests. So some of these blue ones are going to give you features and stuff, but you may want to pass on them as you go. Like maybe you don't want to take the time to become a leather worker right now, right? That's not a big deal for you. But you always want to do the quests that are in your guild for your class, because these are going to be your class quest or your job quest, and most of the time these will unlock new abilities for you at certain thresholds. It may be that the quest you get at level 15 or something gets you a new skill or ability, and you just won't have that until you do it here at the guild. So if I was seriously going to be playing Conjurer, which I'm not, I would want to go over here and do this Conjurer's quest. And then you'll see if I switch back to Gladiator, that becomes red again. So it could be, like I said, that you're not the right class or the right job for the quest, or it could be as simple as like you're just not the right level. That will happen a lot of times when you complete your job quests. Like let's say you get a job quest at level 15 and then you get one at level 20 and you're level 16. You go, you do your level 15, it'll pop up with the next job quest, but it'll be red because that next quest is at level 20. As far as your other map icons, the little bags here are going to be your shops. You've got, again, your mailboxes, your quests, and then everything else, I believe, for the most part, is going to be some sort of specialty vendor for the most part. There's a couple of things to note. You have the market board, which is kind of the equivalent of the auction house. So if you are looking to buy something off the auction house, then you're going to do that here on the market board. And then the summoning bell will give you access to your retainers, and your retainers are the equivalent of your bank in Final Fantasy. So it's a little bit weird, I think, that system of having the retainers instead of banks. And of course, the retainer system is... It's interesting because you literally make another character to be your retainer. You go through the entire character creation process, and of course, like for me, I just made hot chicks as my retainers because I'm not playing as one. So I've got a bunny girl, but you can see you can entrust or withdraw items, and this is basically your bank. Right, so these are all items that I have in my bank right now, and I can go over and pick a different one, and I can right-click on an item and go entrust to retainer, and then it'll go into the bank, and I can right-click over here and retrieve it from the retainer. There's a bunch of other stuff. You can deposit gold with the retainer. You can sell your stuff on the market. That's how you do this, is with your retainer as well. You can view your sale history. And then you can eventually get into retainer expeditions or whatever, which is something that I just started. So I don't know a whole lot about these expeditions yet. A bank alt like in WoW. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, okay, that's a good way to put it. It's kind of like you just make your bank alts, but they're not actual characters. So and this isn't a character that I will like play. It's not out on my character selection menu, but you go through and like everything we did, except for picking a class, like you'll go through and you'll pick the race, you'll pick the clan, you'll set the appearance. I don't think you do the birthday thing. I don't remember. But then, yeah, they basically are kind of like, yeah, they're like your bank alts. And this is the second one. You're allowed to have 2 of these by default, which does give you a fairly good amount of bank space. I think this is, what do we got? 5 by 7, like 35 times 5. Yeah. I mean, we've got like 175 slots per retainer. And this is the one kind of weird place for me for Final Fantasy XIV. You can get additional retainers, but it costs like $2 a month or something. It's one of the places, one of the things in this game that I'm just kind of like, huh? I mean, you get 2 by default, and that I don't know why it's 2 and not like 4 or 5 or something. Especially, it's weird that you can pay for more, but you can. But just manage your inventory, okay? Treat it like Path of Exile or Diablo or something. Just manage your inventory. So that is where your bank is going to be. And you have to unlock this feature. You will unlock it through a blue quest early on in the game, I think in the teens. So if you're looking at your inventory like, I don't have space for everything, where's the bank? You got to unlock retainers first. And then I will show you guys real quick the market board. So I'm not in love with this system, and maybe I just don't I don't know it as well as I should, but this is the market board. So let's say that I was wanting to look for a new, sword. I could come in here and I can look for Gladiator's Arms because that's what I'm playing right now. It's going to give me a list of the 3 things available here. And then I can click on these and take a look at all the different ones that are listed, which retainer has them, how much they're available for, etc., etc. The one thing I don't like about this, and again, this could just be me not knowing other ways to customize this. I don't think so. But like looking at this, like let's say that I just wanted to get the cheapest sword that I could here, right? I don't know which one of these is the cheapest because you have to click into them to then see what the price is. Like here's one for 3 gil, but these are all 2,000. This Viking sword, look. 1,000. So I would think like, oh, this one's probably the cheapest. It's at the top or something like that. But in reality, this listing has the cheapest price. And again, I don't know. I looked over here and there's no like price sort. So again, but this is where the auction house is. You really don't have a need to use the auction house until like in game anyway. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. If you are just starting off for some reason, whenever you unlock a new class or job, they will give you the weapon and stuff you need in order to play as that class or job. But on the off chance that you lose it, or you just want to get some super sweet Shrek-looking starter gear for that class, you want to look for the Battlecraft supplier, and you can go in and you want to purchase either Disciple of War or magic items. So I'm Gladiator right now, so I'd go Disciple of War. And then pick your level range, so let's say 1 to 9. And then in here, you can buy some super cheap weapons, and you can also buy some of your armor and stuff too. The tool supplier will give you your crafting supplies. The jeweler will give you your like your earrings, your rings and stuff. So you go to Battlecraft accessories, and then you're going to have those items in here. Your tailorer will have your actual gear. So Battlecraft is weapons, tailor is gear, and there's going to be a setup like this in each of the main cities. So you're going to look for this like cluster of a million different shops. The other cities are going to be Limsa Laminsa. And that one, if you're starting at the giant aetheryte crystal, it's going to be this hallway here. And then the other one is going to be in Ul'dah. And for Ul'dah, when you teleport in, you teleport here. And I think this one, I think you have to go around the corner. I'm trying to remember. I think you have a little bit here. I think it's the merchant strip. Yeah, the merchant strip here. This one's the most, I guess, confusing. So if you're at the aetheryte crystal, you're going to head down and you're going to come around this section over to the Steps of Fall. And then there's your merchant corridor. So that's where you find all that stuff at. So that should get you started with like navigating around the city. The next tip that I want to give you guys is about the map. Okay, I think the map in this game can be super confusing. Honestly, it's just like, it's not the best map in my opinion. I think many other MMORPGs do the maps better. So I'll give you some map tips. First off, if you're on a quest and you are like, where in the hell do I go for this quest? You can click the blue text. The blue text will show you that quest on kind of like the big world map, but it's not going to be zoomed in, right? Click the area closest to that on the world map, okay? Then you will get that quest on a zoomed in map. Then if you hover over the area, any of this landmass, right, you're going to see the blue here turns to a slightly different blue. That lets you know, here's this quest. If I hover over this, this is in Middle Lenosia, right? So if I click that, then I'm into the actual zone map, okay? And now I can look around and go, oh, I need to go to Summerford Farms, and then I can go down and do this quest. Okay, let's do this again for another one, right? I'll do this. Extinguishing Last Light is in Novrent. I'll click that. Okay, then I can look and go, okay, this is going to be in Calusia, and then I can go up. Yep, I got to go to Tomra, and I got to go up. Okay, that's the easiest way to navigate to your quest and figure out where you're trying to go. It's also when you, let's go back to this one. If we go in here, it's also the easiest way to kind of figure out how to get there if you have to walk. Okay. So in this case, I would be doing this quest probably coming from Limsa Laminsa, and I would go, okay, I need to go to Middle Lenosia. Click on this. Okay. Anywhere you see these little green arrows, it means it goes to an adjoining area. It goes to a map that's connected to this one, right? So if we're coming from Limsa Laminsa, then we would know, okay, the lower decks, that's where I'm going to come from. Zoom in. Okay, here's where I start. I need to go over here, click on this, and then this place is up. Now, a couple of additional tips. One, if you're close to the zone where your quest is, it'll show up in the name of the thing on the map. So you can see here that my plus icon is on this middle Lenosia, which means that if I head this direction, that's going to take me towards that quest. Make sense? Let's do it with this one. We go Novrant. Again, so this is Calusia. Let's say we were in like Lakeland. I don't have this one discovered, so that's a terrible example. You get the point, though. The next thing is if you look on your mini-map, you'll have a orange arrow that points in the direction of like your nearest quest. I think this takes priority for like main quests over other quests, or you may be able to pick and track. I'm not quite sure. It's always basically pointed at the main quest for me. So if I was going to do, since, you know, my main quest is super far away in a different zone, it's not going to do that right now, but it is pointing to the closest quest to me. And you can follow that arrow on your mini-map and use that to figure out where you're going as well. And then the last sort of tip here for the maps is understanding what the hell is going on with these arrows. Okay, so in the game, let's go back here. There are big zones. Okay, think like, you know, if you're coming from WoW, think of like Northrend or Kalimdor or Eastern Kingdoms or whatever. So when you're looking at this big world map of Eorzea, there are these big zones, right? So if we go into Lenosia, right, then we see like the subzones. This is where you would have like, you know, the Barrens or, you know, whatever. Duertar, that kind of stuff. When we zoom in, each one of these crystals, and sometimes they don't always have a crystal, but most of the time they do, is going to be one of those little subzones. Okay, so if we click into Middle Lenosia, then we could see, okay, here's our quest. So when you're looking at these little arrows up here, the top one changes your giant world map zone. Okay, so this changes it from Northrend to Outlands to Eastern Kingdoms or whatever. So that's what this is. That is what you're choosing. This one changes your subzone within that area. So instead of like in, you know, WoW, you just open up your map and you see Northrend and you zoom in, you can click on Grizzly Hills and get a good look by, you know, just clicking on the map. You could do that here too. But a lot of times when you're zoomed in, it's kind of like, well, what do I want to do? That's based on what you're trying to look at on the map. If you want to look at a different subzone in Lenosia, you click this one and you can just change it. If you want to look at a different like area entirely, you click this one and you change that. So a cool example of this, I think, is if we go over to the Black Shroud, you can click here and there's like Central Shroud, East Shroud, South Shroud, North Shroud. So depending on what shroud you're trying to go to, you can just pick it off the list here and go, oh, okay, here we go. So those are the main map tips that I have. I think this, like I said, this map can be pretty confusing, but hopefully those tips will help you out. It took me a while to figure them out. Okay, so we know how to create a character. We know what our symbols on the map and stuff look like when we're moving around. We've got some tips on the mini map. We know the different types of quests. So, on your main character, follow the main story quest. Now, in Final Fantasy, you can play all the classes, all the jobs on a single character. Cass, welcome back. This can be very tempting to just change classes a bunch, but that's not necessarily a good thing, especially when you start, because a large portion of your leveling and your XP that you gain is going to come from your main story quest. And in this game, you only do the main story quest one time. So if you get on your character and you do the main story quest up to level 15 and you decide that you want to switch and you want to play a different class or a different job, you now have to get to level 15 on that class or job without the benefit of the main story quest. So for your first character, it is super important that you do not progress too far into the main story quest if you think you might want to play something else. There are a couple of things that you can do to help you figure that out first. And there are a couple of ways, couple of things, easy things you can do in order to catch up to that level. So my recommendation is that you get a class to level 17 and you unlock Palace of the Dead, which is what we're going to talk about now. And I think, now, if you know what class you're going to play, you're like, bro, I'm thaumaturge, I'm going black mage, 100% all the way, no questions, then cool. Just follow the main story quest and level up and get her done, right? But if you're like, man, I don't know, do I want to play gladiator or warrior or maybe rogue ninja? I don't know. What do I want to do? Get to level 17 and then go unlock Palace of the Dead. So, to unlock Palace of the Dead, your leveling should take you there. The leveling's been kind of accelerated, so you might end up past level 17. But Palace of the Dead is located in the Black Shroud. You're going to go Black Shroud, then you're going to go South Shroud, and you want to go to Quarry Mill, which is where I was when I logged in. Now, what Palace of the Dead is it's a better version of Torghast that was in this game way earlier than Torghast was. And it does it just a lot better. And I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So when you get here, you're going to unlock Palace of the Dead. You got to do a little quest. I can't remember. You might have to do a dungeon or something like that. Not a big deal. And then once you have Palace of the Dead unlocked, and you can see there's a ton of people here because Palace of the Dead is one of the main things that you use to level your alts. Oh my god, imagine if you could level your alts in Torghast. Wow, that would be so cool. Well, you could do that here, basically. So, you'll end up talking to this Wood Whaler Expeditionary Captain. Okay, and this guy is going to pop up, and he's going to give you this deep dungeon menu, and you're going to go, what the fuck? What? So, let's talk about this, and then I think it's better that I just show you kind of how this works as we go. So when you're first getting started, you're going to have your Aether Pool Arm and your Aether Pool Armor at +0 or +1, something like that. So here's the cool thing about Palace of the Dead. Your gear that you're currently wearing doesn't matter. They equalize everything. The strength of your armor and the strength of your weapons are based on your Aether Pool Arm and Armor. So I am wearing absolute trash. Okay, I'm wearing my Shrek outfit. If you look at my outfit, this is like item level 1, item level 5, item level 1, item level 1. I'm literally just wearing garbage because I didn't want my character to be naked. So I just bought like the super low level stuff to throw on him. I don't care. I got a couple of XP boost items, which we'll talk about a little later. And that's it. I've got my weapon so that I can turn into the class that I want to turn into. And that's all I got on. Because, like I said, in Palace of the Dead, none of that stuff matters. It all gets equalized. So, when you come into Palace of the Dead, you're going to have the option to enter. It's going to pop up and it's going to show you this. You're going to have 2 save slots. Now, the way these save slots work, Palace of the Dead is a mode where you play in a tower and you go floor by floor by floor by floor and fight your way through. Every 10 levels, you basically get a checkpoint where you can bail and come back later and do some more. There are 200 floors in Palace of the Dead. So these save slots will save your progress in the tower. Because you can choose to progress with a group if you want to, and it will save the status of the tower for your group. So for example, let me go back here. I'm going to reset my progress. Boom. And if I go enter Palace of the Dead, I can pick save slot 1. Then I can say enter with the fixed party or enter with a matched party. Fixed party will let me team up with people and go into Palace of the Dead, and we can progress to, you know, level 50, and then we can just basically leave, come back at any time, no weekly resets or anything like that, and jump right back in where we left off and continue to play and progress as far as we want to. Entering with a matched party will put you into a queue to play with random players, but it saves the progression that your character is making so that you can start on higher floors and you will queue up with people that are also on those floors. So here's the difference. I get together with a party, you know, we're on Discord chatting, playing Palace of the Dead. We get to level 50, we sign off, we come back, level 50. Cool. With the match party, I queue up, I play with some randoms. You know, we beat levels 1 through 10, then we're out. Then I come back, I queue up with another match party, but this time my characters progress to where I'm in the 11 to 20 bracket, so I start out at 11, and I play through, and we beat 20. I come back out, then I hit, boom, queue up with a match party. Now I'm in that 20 to 30 bracket, and so it's just your character alone gets saved. Now, when you're in here, your progression is tied to the class and job that your save file is tied to. Okay? So if we go back here, this is my save file where I'm on floor 51 with Rogue. I cannot just change to Archer or change to Bard or whatever for this. This is tied specifically to my Rogue class. So if I want to do this with a different class, I have to give up the save slot. Okay? That's not that big of a deal eventually. So now that you know the two ways you can enter, this is the key with Palace of the Dead. There's a couple of things. But for long-term leveling purposes, once you have played to level 50, you can start at level 50 at any time. So you can jump ahead. You can skip the first 50 floors, which is important. And we'll get to that in just a minute. So, here's why Palace of the Dead is cool. First off, your gear doesn't matter. Second off, when you enter Palace of the Dead, you start at level 1 on whatever class or job you're playing. And as you play through Palace of the Dead, your character will level up in Palace of the Dead. Okay? Not outside of Palace of the Dead, in Palace of the Dead. But the level up progress is way faster in Palace of the Dead. And so what that means is that you will level up a lot faster. You'll get your abilities a lot faster. You'll get to try the class and the class abilities way faster than you would if you were trying to level up outside of Palace of the Dead. And it can give you a taste of any class in the game that you have access to super early on. So if you get to level 17, let's say, you know, I got to level 17 on whatever class, my warrior that I played, and I was like, you know what, man, I kind of want to just see, I don't know, let's see what Lancer is like. I'm kind of interested. What's Lancer like? I can go in here, enter Palace of the Dead, start at level 1, level up super fast, or once you've played Palace of the Dead to level 50, which you can just do at any level, okay, because nothing in Palace of the Dead is tied to your progress outside of Palace of the Dead. So you could literally be level 17 and play through to floor 20 in Palace of the Dead. You can come out here and you can pick a save slot. We can go enter with the matched party. I need to be the class that I'm going to play as, so let's switch over to our Lancer. All right, so now I am Lancer class. go in here, enter Palace of the Dead. I'm going to show one set. I'm going to enter with a match party so I can start at floor 1 and floor 51. I'm going to do a floor 1 run just so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. It may take a little bit for this to queue, but that's okay. So right now, I'm level 13 on my Lancer. Actually, you know what? I can just show you this the other way. So we're going to do it that way. Okay. So I'm actually level 13 on my Lancer. If I go into my skills, that means I have access to 3 skills right now. I have True Thrust, Vorpal Thrust, and Life Surge. Okay. Let's queue up for Palace of the Dead. And we're going to go to the level 50 floor that I have, the floor 51. So technically, I should only have access to these 3 abilities, plus my 2 role abilities that I have here. So 5 abilities total. Well, what's going to happen is I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to have all the abilities up to level 60. And this can let you get a taste of the class a lot faster than if you were to try to level each of these classes up out in the real world. Because you literally get from like level 1 to 25 in like one run. Level 1 to 10 in Palace of the Dead. Now, the caveat to this is that I told you that classes become jobs. Classes are basically like the baby versions of jobs. So right now, I am a Lancer, not a Dragoon. So until I hit level 30 in the real world out here, in the real world, you know, we're getting meta here. Until I hit level 30 and I unlock Dragoon, I won't have access to any Dragoon abilities, okay? Only Lancer abilities. So the easiest way to kind of see what I'm talking about here is to look at the Lancer class here. This is the average amount of abilities you're going to have. Let me switch over to a different class. Let's do Marauder or Warrior. Okay. So there are a lot more abilities available once you are an actual class. If I switch over to my Samurai, which my Samurai, again, is like level 80. Way more abilities. But my point is, if you're on the fence about what job you want to play, you can come over here. You can run 20 floors, 30 floors of Palace of the Dead, and you can play with every ability that that class is going to have access to up to level 60. So, again, this is getting a little convoluted, but I'm going to try to lay it out here. If you are playing as a gladiator, you can run Palace of the Dead, and you can play every ability that the gladiator will unlock from level 9 to 60. But the gladiator stops unlocking abilities at level 30, which means playing a gladiator in Palace of the Dead, you're going to get a better picture faster, but you're not going to get the complete picture. What you actually want to do is get your gladiator to level 30, unlock Warrior, or sorry, not Warrior, Paladin, and then go do Palace of the Dead, and you can test the Paladin at level 30. You can play with all the abilities they'll have up to level 60. Does that make sense? I hope that, because from 30 to 60, you're basically unlocking Paladin abilities, not Gladiator abilities. So it's a little bit of a weird break point there. So if you're level 17 and you're like, I don't know if I want to play Gladiator, Marauder, you know, Pugilist, Lancer, Rogue, I don't know which one of these I think is interesting. You can try all those classes with all their abilities up to level 30. Or you can get these classes to like level 30, turn them into jobs, and then you can play with all the class and job abilities up to level 60. I hope that makes sense. Okay. But this is an easy way to do that. Now, I mentioned that your progress in Palace of the Dead is not tied to your progress outside of Palace of the Dead, and that is true. But after you complete a set of 10 floors in Palace of the Dead, remember I said there's that break point where you can leave and go do something else if you want. After you complete a set of 10 floors, you get XP for your actual character outside of Palace of the Dead. And usually it's about 2 levels worth. So when you go in, if I were to go in as Gladiator, level 9, and I did floors 1 through 10, or 10 through 20, 20 through 30, or whatever, my Gladiator would probably be like level 40 or something inside of Palace of the Dead. When I come back out, I'm still going to be level 9, but I'm going to get a bunch of XP for doing those floors in Palace of the Dead. And my Gladiator will probably jump up to level 11. So when I said that this is a way that people level alt classes, what most of them do is they unlock Palace of the Dead, the level 50 floor, and then they run level 51 to 60 over and over and over and over again and just farm it for XP. And that's what I had started doing. I was doing that yesterday to get levels on some of these lower classes. So when you say use Palace of the Dead to level alts, do you just mean testing classes and jobs? No. So when I say that, I mean like... Okay, so I leveled Samurai as my main job. I used the main story quest to get Samurai to level 80. Now that I've used the main story quest to get the Samurai to 80, it's no longer available to me. So I have to get all the XP to level up other classes, alternate classes, alt classes, through side quests, dungeons, Palace of the Dead, that kind of stuff. I have to use other methods to get that XP. And because Palace of the Dead, 1, lets you play a more advanced version of that class in the actual content, and it gives you a really nice chunk of XP out, like once you finish a section, people use this to level up their characters instead of having to go do side quests or random dungeons or whatever. They use this as a way to do that. And Palace of the Dead is available. Once you've unlocked it, you can actually start it, I think, at like any level, I want to say. You definitely can start it as low as level 6 on one of your classes once you've actually unlocked it on a different job. And you can use it all the way up to level 60, I believe. So if you wanted to, you could level from 1 to 60 entirely in Palace of the Dead. It's not really recommended to do that from that level, but you can. There are other ways you can level up your alts and stuff as well. But I mentioned this here because if you're just getting started with playing the game, honestly, you should just be choosing your class and doing the main story quest. But I know that I personally was like, well, do I really want to play Marauder or do I want to play something else? And so I wanted a testing ground, and this is the best testing ground that you're going to get early on. Okay, so that's Palace of the Dead. And like I said, great place to test out alternate jobs and characters. Tons of people here because this is just a popular way to level your alts. But that's kind of the phase of the game I'm at, is figuring out where to level my alts and how to level them and stuff like that. But I know many of you are just going to be on your first character. So if you're not having, analysis paralysis or a class or job crisis, of which one you want to play, then you just play the main story quest and you're good. Okay. So, Palace of the Dead. Later on, there's another version of this called Heaven on High, which is available from level 61 to 70. But that one I haven't messed with yet. I'm getting my Gunbreaker up so that I can play that one. But it's essentially like Palace of the Dead. Okay. There are a lot of distractions in Final Fantasy XIV. A lot. You're going to be unlocking a lot of features that you don't necessarily need to engage with. if your main goal is trying to level. But they are fun detours if you need a break. And to be quite honest, they are some of the end game of Final Fantasy XIV. And I wanted to see if I could find this image. I don't. Oh, you know, I didn't. They did have it at, I think at Mog Station. So Final Fantasy XIV has raids. They have dungeons. They have all that kind of stuff. But this is the actual end game for Final Fantasy. And we're going to switch over here so I can show this to you guys. Okay. There are raids. There are hard mode raids, etc., etc. So if you want that like group in-game PvE content, it's definitely there. But if you're getting into Final Fantasy, you're getting into Final Fantasy and you don't have to do any of that shit to have a good, enjoyable end game experience, okay? So, I wanted to touch on these really quickly. So we have gathering, right? Gathering and crafting. Okay, this stuff is ridiculous. And Eggy could tell you a lot more about this than I can. But this whole time we've been talking about classes and jobs. There's a whole nother tab over here. These are Disciples of War and Disciples of Magic. These are Disciples of Hand and Disciples of the Hand and Disciples of the Land. Okay? And just like you can equip a different weapon and become a different class or job, you can also equip a different tool and become a different Disciple of the Hand or Land, a different crafter and gatherer. And these are not like in World of Warcraft where you have a menu of recipes and you just gather the stuff, pick what you want, and craft it. There are quests. There are actual actions that go on your action bar if you want to craft things. You can craft things that are high quality, low quality, mid quality, and you do that by using your actions, using your different materials. It's a buddy of mine was super awesome and made me this item level 510 samurai sword. It's a high quality blade. He said it was nerve-wracking and took him about an hour and a half to make this thing. Okay, so crafting is a freaking end game. There are people that literally just leveled their character, you know, one of these characters, their class or job, to unlock the new zones, and then the entire end game, they don't even worry about this tab. They're over here crafting and gathering and just making gear, making equipment, you know, all that kind of stuff to sell on the market. So that's huge. You can literally just make that your entire end game if you want to, which I think is super awesome, honestly. Free companies are your guilds. The free companies do have like guild halls that you can decorate and you know, put trophies in and stuff like that. So if you're into all the guild stuff, you're able to do that here in the free companies. But again, there's just more to do than there are in some other MMOs because you do have that guild hall and perks and stuff to unlock. Housing. Okay. Can you make more than one character on the same server? Yes. Okay, so housing. I would love to get excited and hyped about housing, but housing in Final Fantasy XIV is kind of a bitch. Houses cost a lot of money, and there are limited plots for houses. So not everyone can access a house on an even playing field. Okay, it's not like, oh, I save up X amount of dollars and then I just get my house. No, it's you have to save up the money for the house, then hope that there's a plot in the area that you want your house to be in, and then purchase it. And then on top of that, if you don't log into your accounts and enter your house on a fairly regular basis, not like every week, but you know, if you're like not playing the game for 2-3 months and you don't log into your house or whatever, your house basically will get repossessed so that it can be sold to someone else because you're taking up a slot. So housing is a big deal. It is very involved. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in housing, but I would not rate its accessibility as super high. It's very intimidating thinking about getting into housing, mainly just for the cost and the availability of plots for your house. Fashion, obviously, is an in-game. Like, if you haven't been able to tell already, just by the random outfits we've seen, like, can I find a stripper cat girl? There's, like, almost always a stripper cat girl. You're not quite a stripper, but close. I found some pretty... Oh, you're pretty close to... maybe not a stripper cat girl, but... I mean, I know I'm looking at that, and I'm like, that's not a stripper cat. That's because I've seen... do I have that picture? I sent a picture. Let me see. I want to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Just so you know. There we go. I mean, technically it's not a stripper cat girl either, but I want to make my point here. I should probably like blur out the name. I don't know. But this is what I would call a stripper cat girl that I saw yesterday while I was waiting to queue up for Palace of the Dead, and definitely was not the worst one. So I say that just to point out that like fashion is a big deal in this game, and it is a huge part of the end game. Getting your character to look just the way you want. They aren't all stripper cat girls and stuff. I saw some dude that like literally made his character look like he was Mario. I saw people that looked like they were in a K-pop band. Like just absolutely crazy stuff. My buddy kind of looks like he's like some dark vampire dude. It's pretty cool. I mean, you could dress up like you're a, I don't know, fashionable bartender with a great sword. I mean, this character I thought looked pretty cool, right? Look at that raccoon. Oh my, I need one of these like pets that just hangs off your shoulder. I got this cute unicorn thing yesterday. I'm getting distracted. Okay, so you can obviously tell like this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy and I like. I like just running around looking at people. Oh, she's got like a weasel. You know, but not everything is stripper cat girls. Okay, there's a lot of really cool just transmogs and stuff in this game. And a lot of it is, you know, like the kind of like fantasy type stuff, but you guys know like Final Fantasy is a lot of times rooted in actual fashion. So you'll find stuff like jeans, t-shirts, cutoffs, you know, all kinds of stuff in here. It's not just all fantasy stuff. And then you, man, I'm not gonna lie, dude. That guy's looking pretty suave. I'm looking pretty Shrek. I literally have oven mitts on my hands. So my transmog game is not where it needs to be at all, but that is a pretty big part of the end game. And then one of my favorite things is the golden saucer. I hit max level and immediately went to the golden saucer. It's a big giant casino, essentially. It has a bunch of mini games. It has gambling. It has chocobo racing. Chocobos are like the little bird mounts you can ride around on. And it has the triple triad card game, which I have been playing a bunch. And that would take up an entirely different like video to talk about. But you have the golden saucer as a place where you can go. And I mean, they've also got mahjong. They've got like a bunch of stuff in there. And so all this stuff is stuff that you can easily get distracted by it on your way to max level. But it also kind of is the max level in a way. And so I would encourage you to approach Final Fantasy from the perspective of this isn't necessarily a game that the only thing for you to do at the end of the game is grind reputations and queue up for raids, right? At in-game, there's a lot more that you can do. You can like go hardcore into crafting and gathering. You could work on collecting every single triple triad card in the game, which isn't just a collector's thing. You actually play with the cards and stuff too. You could get into Chocobo racing. You could get a bunch of different outfits going. You could try to get a housing plot. Good luck. Or you could work on your free company, you know, hold or stronghold or whatever. And then there's still like the traditional, you know, raids and stuff that you might do as well. So you can kind of make your own end game. So let me get back over here and check chat because there we go. Been seeing bards dressed as Elvis playing the guitar today. Very, yeah. I mean the kind of stuff that people can make with this. What was the website? I can show you guys a couple of these. I really want to because I don't know about y'all, but I like transmog stuff. They're called glamours in Final Fantasy. Eorzea collection. Yeah, let's take a look at these real quick. I need to get some comment reactions to this stuff. Okay. Just to show you some of the stuff that you can create. This glamour collection is people showcasing their transmogs in Final Fantasy. And you can come over here and you can pick like let's see, what about a cool samurai? I think I picked samurai. So you can come in and be like, see, we got stripper samurai. Just like, that's super cool. I mean, like some of the transmogs, and it won't just be transmogs that are like serious or, you know, lewd, but there are some that are pretty funny. As man, that guy looks dope. I mean, look at just you can dye your armor. Where is this chest piece from? That is dope as shit. Oh man, too good. This is gonna be the rest of the stream, you guys. I'm just kidding. Oh man. A lot of bards in general. Not really sure why. Might just be popular. Hey, that's the guy from Persona. Nice. But so, I mean, these transmogs are ridiculous. I was trying to say there, like, you can dye your armor. I mean, which obviously helps with making some of these transmogs. Man. Okay, we gotta look at a tank, a healer, and a cat. We gotta look at like one of everything, right? Just let's see, what do we want? Let's look at paladins. That's like, wait, is that that kind of looks like the character from Zelda? Is it Zelda? I don't know. We got a pirate. Samurais were cooler. Let's see. Let's look at a healer. Let's look at white mage. What do we got? Lots of angels. Yeah, some of these look, they just look crazy, like crazy good. Really? Can we do one for like a, do people actually have glamours on their like fishing glamours? How did you get this shot? Man, just fully kitted out for fishing, dude. That's insane. Damn, like just the details in this stuff is crazy. Anyway, I can look at this stuff all day, you guys. All day. Where were we? I'm just kidding. Stripper samurai, absolutely. Stripper samurai Elvis. We're going too deep, you guys. These look like you could be at an emo club. Hey, you know that's good with me. Does the glamour cost mad in-game money? No, I don't believe so. Well, you know what? Let's, my friend sent me... He sent me some gear because he said that I shouldn't go around looking like... I shouldn't go around looking like Shrek. So, you know what? I think he sent me the glamour things for it, too. So, let's take a look here. You use these little glamour prisms, which you can just purchase off of vendors, like generic vendors. So then you can go here, like you just pick a piece of gear, cast glamour, and then I pick the coat. And I'm going to put that onto... Yep, put it on my coat. And I'm going to do... What was this? The Uraeus coat. Oh, got it. Hang on. I think I have to take off... Did I have to take this off or did I not? I just wasn't familiar with the name of it. All right, cast glamour. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to put this coat on the one that I'm wearing. It cost me 1 glamour prism. Did I do that in reverse? I did it in reverse. My bad. Cast glamour. Okay. Oh, and I used it. Oh, well. We'll do a different. Let's do, I did it backwards. All right, cast glamour, gloves. What did he give me? I have to get him to send me some new ones. Dinosaur leather gloves. Okay. I like my oven mitts, but they're gone. All right, so there goes my oven mitts. And I kind of messed up on that shirt there. I think I should just be able to remove it, right? Remove. There we go. Okay, I don't have a catalyst that I need. That's too far for me. Like I said, my glamour game is not on point. But at least I don't have oven mitts anymore. But no, you just use those little glamour prisms. And like I said, you can just buy those off the vendor. It says here they sell for 24 gil, which is like not a lot at all. So no, it's not very expensive. I'm sure that catalyst is probably simple as well. I usually save transmog until like the very, very, very end game. Looking like a hobo. I mean, that's where it's at. Okay, so getting away from transmog, I wanted to talk to you, give you some more tips about all this stuff over here in this section. Okay, both for leveling your alts and for leveling your main characters and just getting into this stuff. So, tab number 1, we have your character, okay? Stance, that's literally just pull your weapon out, right? Oop. You've got your actions and traits. This is kind of like your spell book. So, actions are going to be your active abilities that you use for the class or job that you're playing as. Role are going to be abilities that everyone in your role will have. So all tanks will have all the tank role abilities. All physical DPS will have the physical DPS abilities, etc., etc. Right now, I'm on a physical DPS, so I have access to these 6 abilities, and like a ninja would also have access to these. Traits are going to be your passive abilities specific to your job or class. Your orders are going to be for your companion, which we'll get to here in a minute. General commands are going to be commands that you can use, I want to say just in general, but these are going to be like your duty action, you know, mount roulette. So, you know, summon random mount. Put that on there. Doop, 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 doop. Minion roulette, cast glamour, that kind of stuff. Main commands gets you into your menu commands. If for some reason you want to drag your minion guide onto your board, or onto your action bar, you can do that. And then you do have some extras. Basically, these are just for fun. Okay, so that's your actions and your traits. You got a currency tab over here. You've got common currency, which is going to include your gil, your company seals, which we haven't talked about. We probably won't talk about too much in this video. Ventures, these are the things that I was talking about for the retainers that you could send them on, which I'm just getting into. And then you have the Manderville Gold Saucer points, which are the ones you spend at the Golden Saucer Casino. Battle currency over here, you collect these tombstones, and these are tradable for rewards. They can be pets, mounts, transmogs, all different sorts of stuff. On your character screen, obviously classes and jobs lets you keep tabs on that. You got your attributes over here if you want to check them out. You got your profile. This gives you your title, which you can click and change your title to whatever you want. You've got your grand company, which is the companies. You've got your racial information here, your city state, which is just tied to your starting area and your grand company, your name day, and your guardian. And then you've got your reputations, which I don't really have any reputations going at the moment because I haven't really gotten into the rep grind. But those are generally going to be beast tribes, are kind of like your reputation factions. Right here above your gear, you have a couple of things here. You have glamour plates, which I've not gotten into, but it's another advanced form of glamours. Right here, you can click this super awesome recommended gear button, and this will tell you, hey, you have all this stuff in your bags, and this is a better fit than what you're wearing. So because I'm on my level 80 samurai, it's telling me, well, you need to get your level 80 gear on, man. Like, why are you on this like item level 1 stuff, right? So it'll show you all that stuff here if you want. So this is a really nice way if you got some pieces of gear in your bag and you just want to like add the best ones, you can just hit recommended and then hit equip, and it'll equip all your recommended stuff. And then you also can do a gear set list. So let's go ahead. Okay, Gunbreaker, I've got that one. So if I want to make a new gear set, let's see. I can go and hit plus to create a new gear set, and this is going to call it Samurai 114. But I'm going to go in and change the set name to base level. Or, well, let's go leveling. So this is my leveling gear set, right? I can go in, let's go recommended gear. I can hit equip. That'll put on all my samurai gear. Now I'm not looking like a hobo, okay, you guys? And I'll go ahead and save this one. It defaults to your job or class and your item level, okay? So that'll save my samurai sets. If I wanted to go in and change to Gunbreaker, I could hit my Gunbreaker sets. Also not looking like a hobo. Thank you very much. And it'll equip all my Gunbreaker gear. And if I was like, you know what, I'm going back to leveling, I'll hit my leveling sets and equip all that. So you can hot swap gear. As you can see, there are 27 gear sets that I have access to. You get a new one of these, I think, every time you unlock a new job. So I'll actually have a couple more because I haven't unlocked all the jobs, but you can hot swap gear and stuff like that as well. So if you are going back and forth trying a couple different jobs, you can save the gear sets that way and just keep everything in your bag. That way you can just hit this to change everything instead of having to manually do all that. So you have your inventory, which you access with I, and it's got the panels here. These are your inventory panels. Over here is the currency stuff that you have on you, these shards, different types of shards. And then the final tab is for key items, like your quest items, basically. But you also have access to the armory. So the armory chest is separate from your inventory, and it will hold all of your gear. And each one of these is separated by gear type. With no add-ons, it's amazing. It's so good. So if I'm like, man, I just got a new ring. Where is that? Oh, boom. I'll just click, rings, and all my rings are in here. Amazing. Amazing. The only annoying thing is trying to remember the hotkey initially. So it's I for inventory. It's Control I for your armory chest. And obviously you can change those hotkeys if you want to. But that is super cool. You've got your Chocobo saddlebag. So once you unlock a Chocobo, which you can do decently early on, you get a companion and you get a Chocobo. You get access to some additional inventory there. You'll unlock your companion pretty early on. I showed this off in my last stream. And your companion is a Chocobo that will run around and fight with you. So your companion menu will allow you to interact with your companion. You can drag any of this stuff off to your bar if you want to. So you can mount and or dismount your Chocobo. So you can use it as your mount if you want to. You summon your Chocobo by using Gishel Greens, which are a cheap item that you can buy from just not any vendor, but specific vendors. But they're very cheap and you can hold up to 999 at a time. Using one Gishel Green will allow you to have your companion out for 30 minutes. You can stack that 2 times and have them out for an hour. On the skills tab, as you level up or rank up your Chocobo, you will be able to put skill points into one of 3 different trees: Defender, Healer, and Attacker. Now, remember that this applies to your one character who can be all jobs. You can eventually get enough points to put into everything, but you will easily get enough points to put all of your points into to fill out one particular role. I would recommend healer in general, as opposed to tank, because a lot of times you're probably going to end up with aggro anyway. And just having the healing, them casting cure and regen on you, can keep you moving from enemy to enemy to enemy. And then on the appearance tab, you could change your Chocobo's color by feeding them particular foods. And then also you can change their gear if you have different gear. So they have what's called bardings, and you can equip those here. I just have the default ones, so I don't have anything fancy, but I mean, we could just glance around. Someone's going to have a Chocobo out with some different bardings on. Like that's the black, some of the black mage bardings. This is somebody who made their Chocobo blue and it's got a crown. So it's pretty obvious. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Some of these Chocobo bardings are from the store. Some of them are crafted. Some of them you can get from achievements or off vendors. There's all different ways to get them and customize them. So your mounts has all your mounts. Amazing. Minions are like your pets, and they're just for looking at. You don't battle with them. There's a couple of things here I don't have going yet, but that's fine. Golden Saucer is going to pull up information about your Chocobo for your Chocobo race. It's going to pull up your card list. There are 326 different triple triad cards you can unlock. You can have different card decks. There's a Verminion tournament you can participate in, and then also Mahjong. So stuff there. So that's everything like under the character tab. There's fashion accessories, the blue magic spellbook, which comes with the blue mage, which is not an actual end game class. And then your PvP profile, which I haven't done PvP. Not really interested in doing PvP, so I don't have access to that. The next tab is your duty tab. So duties are essentially like your dungeon finder. So if we go to the duty tab, we're going to have recommendations. It'll pull this up. And this will actually tell us the type of, like, the content that they suggest that we do in this area, right? This is where you get your key items. If you want to look at your quest items, you can look at your quest journal and see what's going on there. So I started the quest to unlock the blue mage, but I haven't finished it yet. You also have the trust system, which we won't get into. New Game Plus, which I've mentioned before, but it basically lets you replay old storylines if you want to like see the cutscenes or experience them again. But the main thing here is the Duty Finder. So the Duty Finder is like you're looking for dungeon, your, type thing. It's your dungeon queue mechanic tool. That's what I was looking for. Your dungeon queuing tool. So in here you have the Duty Roulette. Duty Roulette gives you a couple of different categories of things that you can choose from, and it will put you into a random dungeon with random people. And you get a pretty significant bonus for doing this. You can get the bonuses for each one of these once per day. You get a big chunk of extra XP and gold. Also, if you happen to be the adventurer in need for one of these, you get an additional bonus. Something that was kind of confusing to me initially is that this reward is for the adventurer in need, I believe. So you're not actually just getting 7,110, gold for doing this. You'll get actually a bunch of XP and stuff as well. Okay. So if you see this, don't treat this like the only thing you're getting for queuing up for this stuff. So you can queue up for any of these and hit join, and it'll put you in queue for that particular type of content. Your level 50, 60, and 70 dungeons are exactly what they sound like. You're just queuing up for random dungeon. Leveling, you're doing the same thing, except it could be a dungeon or a trial. A trial is like a big one boss dungeon. And the leveling one will give you even more experience. It's really focused on giving you experience to help you level. Then you have the trials, which, like I said, they're like big one boss dungeons. You literally just go in, fight a boss, and you're done. But usually it's a stronger boss, more complicated mechanics, and also has a longer fight. Leveling set equals Shrek quest to reclaim his swamp, basically. Are there add-ons? Yes and no. We'll talk about add-ons in just a bit. Main scenario gives you a ton of XP, but it also logs you into a main scenario duty where there's lots of cutscenes and stuff that you can't skip. So people call this like the Netflix scenario or Netflix and level or whatever, because essentially you'll want to have something off on the side to do while you're, going through all these cutscenes and stuff that you can't skip. Guild hests, in my opinion, are pretty much worthless. Outside of possibly doing them for the challenge log, which we'll talk about in a second. And then alliance raids are the big 24-person alliance raids. So this is like your LFR, but the nice thing about all this stuff is it basically will item level scale everything so that you can participate no matter what level you're at, as long as you're at the level that was necessary to unlock this feature. And you can see to get into alliance raids, you have to be level 50. Most of these other tabs are some variant on this, but more specific. So we have the level 50, 60, 70 dungeons. These are the dungeons for 50, 60, 70. So if you need to queue into a specific dungeon, you do it here. These are for Shadowbringers. When Endwalker comes out, Shadowbringers will go in here, and this will be for Endwalker. The next tab's your Guild Hests. Then we've got your Trials, your Shadowbringers Trials, your Raids, your Shadowbringers Raids, PvP, and then queuing in for Golden Saucer stuff. All that is done here. Now that's important because of the logs. And since we just talked about that, we're going to talk about the challenge log. So the challenge log is a big log of stuff that you can do on a weekly basis, and you get bonus stuff for doing it. So I need to switch to a different class since I'm max level here. Let's switch to Gunbreaker. Okay. So you can see here that these are battle challenge logs. Complete 3 dungeons via the duty roulette. So that would involve me coming here to the duty finder, going to duty roulette, and completing 3 dungeons, whether I did it here or I did it in like the leveling one instead. But completing 3 dungeons would give me a big chunk of XP. That's what this symbol is for. 670,000. Currently, I need 4.4 mil to level up. So that's a solid, what, 8th? 7th, 8th of a level. And I'll get a lot of XP from doing those dungeons as well. And then there's complete 5 dungeons, etc., etc. So this gives you something to do every single week. You can log in on any class, any job, like whatever. It doesn't matter. The class or job you complete this with is the one that gets the XP. So this is another way for you to level alts, but it's also just a nice way to kind of give yourself a list of stuff to do every week to kind of, get into that flow. It's like weekly achievements, essentially, that they, reward you for every time. And these do reset on Tuesdays. So just like World of Warcraft. And they tell you the time remaining for these to complete as well. So there are challenges for battles, PvP, fates, which are like the open world random events that happen, leave quests, which you unlock somewhere along the way. I haven't messed with this at all. I probably should. Crafting and gathering, treasure hunting, beast tribes, which are the rep factions, grand companies, your retainers once they unlock those ventures that they can do. There are even gold saucer challenges. So earning points from minigames, completing minigames, doing the triple triad matches. You can see I've been doing those a little bit. A little bit. Eureka, which is a special zone available in Stormblood. And then challenges to complete different types of challenges. So like every week this resets and you can earn XP, earn gil, earn golden saucer points and stuff from doing these challenges. And I think this is really cool because this really encourages you to play a variety of content. And I like that quite a bit. So once you've got your main character leveled up and you're switching over to your alt characters, you're doing stuff like Palace of the Dead, but you're also coming in and trying to complete challenge log things because those will get you XP, those will get you gold, etc. Now, in addition to that, you've got some other logs over here, but the main one I wanted to talk about was the hunting log because this one is pretty important when you are leveling up alt characters, or even when you're leveling up your character specifically, like your first one. So the way these work is the hunting log, it goes by class, okay? These quickly become irrelevant. So you want to take advantage of doing these early on and not wait while the XP is still good. So early on, you'll get a hunt log rank 1 for whatever class you're playing. And basically what it'll have you do is it'll have you go out and kill usually 3, I think sometimes 1 of different types of enemies in the zones that are near where you're going to start out, right? This isn't going to tell you to go kill some enemy that's like in a different starting zone. So it'll tell you, okay, you're a marauder. You're rank 1. You got to kill little ladybugs, wharf rats, Aurelias, bee clouds, wild dodos, etc. Every time you kill one, you complete one of these, you get a little chunk of XP. So this is 75 XP all the way down. And when you complete this entire difficulty 1, rank 1 hunting log, you also get a big bonus XP here, 2500 XP. And you'll also unlock rank 2. So rank 2 is the same thing, but this will have enemies that are out in the zones that you should be at if you're following the main story quest. So, this might be like level 10 mobs or something instead of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you go out and you do the same thing, you'll kill everything, and then you'll get the bonus. And you'll kill everything, and then you'll get the bonus. And then this one, I think I didn't finish this one because I basically hit level 50 and I was like, I'm out. I'm not doing these anymore. I'm level 50. I'm good. I'm going to the next zone, going to the expansion. I'm out of here. But these are a really good way for you to get XP early on, not just on your alt characters, but you should do these on your main character as well. Because like I said, they quickly become irrelevant. There's no real reason to go back and do these once you're past like level 50. Unless you just want to do them for completion's sake. Which you might, because you get achievements and stuff. So take advantage of this when you are leveling. Also, your company will have a hunt log you can do as well. This one can be worth going back for because you get the company seals, which are a currency you can spend at the company, and that's just good in general. These, like I said, kind of like, if I hadn't touched this at all, there's no reason for me to go back and kill 3 little ladybugs for 75 XP when I need 4+ million to level, right? So try to keep up with these with whatever class and job you're on. Mount speed is something I wanted to mention. You can purchase these little, I forget what they're called. They're like maps, I think. Maps is what they are. And they will upgrade your map speed, but they only do it for a certain zone. You don't really need to worry about that too much until later on. Should you boost to level 60 or whatever as a new character or start from level 1? So that is entirely up to you. My personal opinion, if you don't care too much about the story, and if you're confident that you can pick up a class and figure out how to play it, like just take an hour or two, sit down with the spells, the abilities, and figure out how to play, I think it's totally fine to boost. So my recommendation, if you like story and you want to be able to learn your class from the ground up and you want to be able to engage in all the systems of the game as you encounter them and kind of be drip fed all the stuff so you're not overwhelmed, just play the game from the start, play through the main story quest, and you're good. If, however, you don't really care about that stuff and you just want to get to the newest content, I don't think there's anything wrong with boosting to do that. You just have to realize that you're going to be in my position, which is you're going back to figure everything out. So, you know, people are like, oh, how do you do the glamour? And I'm like, I know how to do some of it, but not all of it, because I haven't engaged with that system. Like, as I went, I'm going back to figure it out. Same thing with everything in the golden saucer. Like, I could have putted around there, you know, around level 20 or 30, but I just skipped it and blew straight through. And played that way. So it's really up to you. I think if I could go back, so what I did, I leveled to 50, then I boosted to 70, and I skipped Heaven's Ward, I skipped Stormblood, I started in Shadowbringers, and I played Shadowbringers to level 80. If I could go back in time and do it again, I would boost past A Realm Reborn, and I would play through Heaven's Ward, Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers. I would boost past A Realm Reborn. I would watch a synopsis video on YouTube for the storyline, and then I would actually play through all 3 expansions, because I think the storyline for all those 3 is really interesting. It's not that A Realm Reborn isn't interesting, because those characters continue on. Like, they don't get cut out and dropped and stuff like they do in other MMOs. But I think the story is just not as interesting. It's very, like, to me, it's a little more vanilla fantasy, I guess. So that's kind of what I would say about boosting and all that stuff. It's up to you. I was pretty confident that if I boosted a character, I could figure out how to play it, because that's literally what I do on the channel. here is just figure out how to play classes and stuff and break down rotations and everything. And so I was pretty confident, like, well, I'll get on to Samurai and I'll just figure it out. And it took me a little while and it was a little bit frustrating at times, but you know, I boosted it to 70 and I had a lot more abilities to work with than I would have if I had started it at the normal level, but I just figured it out. I think that's most of the stuff over here on the menu that I was going to show you guys. So I think the last thing, you guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and start putting them into the chat. Because I think the last thing I'm going to talk about here is the UI. And then that's going to wrap up this stream. It's been about 2 hours, which I think is a lot longer than I intended, but that's all good. Oh, and I was going to talk about XP items as well. Don't let me forget. We're talking about UI, then we're talking about XP items. Okay, so the user interface. If you hit escape, you can go to HUD layout. Okay, you can have multiple HUD layouts. So this is the basic one. This is the system, hotbars, duty. So you can change everything in here, basically. When you're in here, you can, let's go to 4 just so I can screw around with this one and then reset it. All right, let's take hotbar number 1. I can drag this anywhere that I want to. All right, so let's say this is going to be my main hotbar and I want to modify it. I can go into current UI element, hotbar 1. You can also go through and click on the exact thing if you're having trouble with, you know, clicking on something with the mouse because it's layered behind something else or whatever. And then you can click on the little UI element settings. So in here, you can change the element transparency, right? You can change the size. So I can make it 200 if I wanted to make it huge. I can put it down to as small as 60 if I wanted to. So let's say I was just going to keep it 100. I could do that. Then you can change the layout here. So I could change it to a 4x3 grid, change it to a 3x4, 6x2, you know, whatever floated my boat. I can put that in there. And then I could hit save. And then I could center that here on my screen if I wanted to. Let's drag hotbar 2 up. Let's click on our parameter bar, change the settings. If we want to, we can make it larger, smaller. Let's say I wanted like a bigger health bar. Save, drag it up. XP bar, shove that over here in the corner. Go into my settings. Let's make it small. Okay, hit save. We can drag that here, throw it under chat if we wanted. Save our HUD, and then hit escape. And now we're playing with a different UI. Built in. Just built into the game. Now, admittedly, if you want that like micro, super specific control, like I like to have in my UI, you're not quite getting it here, but you're getting a lot of functionality just in the game without having any add-ons. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy to me. Now, like for me, I look at like if I go in here and I'm like, oh, the XP bar, like oh, I wish I could just drag it just a little bit because it's kind of overlapping. I want it to line up perfectly with my chat box and it's not quite doing it. The only real option I know that I have is to go in and put it at like 60. And at that point, like maybe it's too small and it doesn't actually line up with my chat bar anymore, but that's okay. I'll just put it under there. And okay, now I've got my XP bar down there if that's where I want it. So I can't do the like super fine-tuned control that I want, but you can rearrange hotbars and increase the size and change some of the layout of stuff if you want to. Powder gauge for like, I'm kind of interested in what the UI settings are here. Oh, this is something else I wanted to show. So this powder gauge is a gauge for my class. I can change the size of this, but you can also switch it to simple mode. Okay, simple mode changes it so that your gauge is super simple. Okay. So right now I'm in Royal Guard stance, which generates more threat. And these are the two cartridges that I have. So I can have this super simple mode instead of having this big gun looking thing up here. But if I go to my HUD and I click on this and go to settings, I can switch it back to the fancier mode and it looks like this. That's showing that I have the stance. Those are my cartridges. They have this for every single job bar in the game so that you don't have to have the big giant graphic. You can have a simple version. And then I can come back in here and go back over to HUD layout 1 and I'm back to the default layout. Pretty straightforward. So, as far as add-ons go, there are some add-ons that are available for this game, but in general, they are not encouraged or approved of by the devs. The only ones that are kind of okay are ones that are entirely client-side, meaning they don't interact with the game or anything on the server or the game data. The most popular add-ons that I've seen for the game are ones that just adjust the way the game looks. So there's an add-on called Reshade, and I'll just see if I can pull up some examples of that real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Reshade, Final Fantasy XIV. See if I can get some pictures here. I found a website, but let's see. Okay, so Reshade is an add-on where like here. So this person is using Reshade to kind of make the game look brighter and more vibrant, essentially, and not so flat. So that's default. That's what they're Reshade. So that's the main add-on that I see people using most of the time. But in general, add-ons are not allowed or encouraged, but they're also not explicitly banned. So because of that, there just aren't a lot of them. Okay, what about collecting gil? If you boost, will you be behind? No, they give you money. So it's like a boost in WoW, essentially. They're going to give you a set of gear. So most of my samurai gear that I have on is still... Like, all this blue gear is the gear that they gave me when I boosted. And I haven't replaced it. Yet. I probably could. At this point, I'm level 80, so I definitely could. I could just go to the marketplace and buy some higher level item level gear. Or I could start doing trials and alliance raids and stuff like that. I just haven't done that because I've been playing the card game and leveling other classes and stuff. This game is challenging as other MMOs that you've played. Are you using a controller to play? What do you think is best? I have played with a controller. I'm going to come back to that challenging question. Also, thanks to both of you for tuning in and commenting. I appreciate that. I have played with a controller. I don't love it because you do have a lot of actions on your bar. And so basically, it's pretty simple to switch to controller mode. I think it's character configuration. So you go into character configuration and you click this and it changes to the controller mode. And I think I have mine. I'm not going to do too much. Got a drawer of peripherals. But basically, once you've got your controller plugged in, you can... This thing's a little bit weird sometimes. But you can set up your hotbars. It's a different way of doing it. It might actually want me to... Oh, I think I have the controller turned off as well. Because you go system controller, gamepad, enable gamepad. Okay. So you have to do... You don't have to do those two things, but those are the two things that make it like gamepad mode. So now I can play with a controller, right? And so the way this works is like with your hotbars, you have your like left trigger will highlight 2 zones, and then you're pressing like your directional pad for this zone on the left, and you're pressing your buttons for the zone on the right. If you hit your right trigger, then it'll be the same thing, but for those other zones. And then you can also hit both, and that will give you another set. So it's... You can change this, you can modify this as well, like, but this is the general idea when playing with a controller. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. I think it would definitely depend on the class that I was playing as. So I have used both. And if I were to go back into character configuration and flip this, it would take off the hotkeys, like the controller layout, but I can still move and stuff with a controller. So it just depends. I have a controller, I have a regular mouse, I have a trackball mouse, I have a sideways mouse. I'm just alternating based on what isn't bothering me at the time, which is kind of sad, but I've got all the things to play. So yeah, it's pretty easy to turn the gamepad on and off. And the setup, there are some ways you can customize them. I might go into them in a different video. What kind of character are you playing now? Life and Sun. Hey, it's been a minute. Nice to see you. So my character that's level 80 is a samurai. Yeah, that's what I'm playing at the moment. Okay, so is this game as challenging as other MMOs you've played? Yes? Yes? Like, my holdup is, I think it's challenging in a different way, and I generally don't think that MMOs are overly challenging anyway. I think it's probably where the holdup is for me on answering that question. MMOs certainly can be challenging for whatever reason. Overtuned enemies, lack of coordination. You know, I think a lot of stuff comes down to the group and the people you're playing with. But if we're just talking about playing the content up to max level and doing some max level stuff, I would say, yeah, I mean, I don't find that content to be challenging in most MMOs. But I don't feel like Final Fantasy XIV is easier than those either. The thing that I really like about Final Fantasy, and it's so... It's weird to express it because I don't necessarily think it's different or more difficult or less difficult. It's just more engaging. It's the way you fight bosses and enemies and the way you play dungeons. I really, really like the way that they do it in this game because there are a lot of AoEs, okay? But, so you know in World of Warcraft, right? They put a splotch of fire on the ground and you got to stay out of the fire, right? Think that, but think... They do way more of that kind of stuff It's way more interesting. It's way more engaging. There are like bosses and enemies that you literally have to face your character away from so that you know, don't get turned to stone or something like that. There are bosses that will put a thing of fire on the ground, but then it will turn into like a safe zone for their next attack. There are bosses that will do attacks where like it's a ring of attack and then a gap and then a ring and then a gap and then and you have to like stand in the gap. There are AoEs that get layered over top of each other and they have timers, so you might have to like stand in an upcoming, like say this shadow's an AoE and outside of it's not, you might have to like stand in this while this part is going off and then scooch back over here before this one goes off. And all this stuff is stuff that they do like immediately in the dungeons. They don't save it for like mythic level raids and heroic raids and stuff. They put that stuff in right at the start. And I really like the fact that they do that. And I don't necessarily think that it's challenging. It's just not boring, right? And I think a lot of the MMOs that you play, especially if you're not playing on like, you know, heroic or mythic difficulty, depending on whether it's dungeons or raids or whatever, you don't get that, right? It's just a giant Zerg fest. Just grab everybody, run to the room, AoE everything down. And you can AoE stuff down in Final Fantasy to a degree as well, especially if you have a good party. But you can't do that with a boss, right? The boss is going to have mechanics. It's going to have ads. It's going to have things for you to do. It's going to have... If you look at the previous stream to this one, it starts off like midstream, unfortunately. But the first boss I fight in a dungeon is this cube. It looks like a Rubik's Cube. It's got 9 faces. And so it's standing up like this, like 9 faces here. And then you are on the ground, and the ground has 9 squares on it. And the thing rotates around like a Rubik's Cube, and then it comes to a stop, and the cubes of the thing that have a face on them are dangerous. And you have to link those up to the cubes on the floor. So if your top left cube has a face on it, that's a danger cube. Or a danger square, and you have to look at the floor you're on and stay out of the top left square. And that's just one thing that you have to do in that boss fight. And to me, that's just super interesting and engaging and really, really a lot of fun to play. And they telegraph their stuff so well. I've almost never had to like look at a guide because I felt like I had to. Within a couple of casts of an ability, you kind of have it figured out. You're like, okay, I need to do this. That's what it is. Sometimes you die and you're like, but you get it. It's not confusing. So that's been honestly the most engaging thing to me about this game is how much I've loved playing the dungeons and love the boss mechanics and stuff. And they don't feel unfair. They don't feel punishing. Like, if you can stay out of the AoEs and stuff and you can follow the mechanics, then generally speaking, you're not just going to get completely punished by the boss for no reason. But if you stand in the mechanics, it'll fuck you up. Like, straight up. If you stand in the mechanics, you'll get wrecked. But outside of that, yeah, I've just really enjoyed it. Been thinking about starting Final Fantasy XIV, just haven't decided yet. I'm currently not playing WoW or any MMO today. I hear that. Well, Final Fantasy is a lot of fun. All right, so I did want to end off with some gameplay here, and I wanted to talk to you guys real quick about a couple of XP items that you're able to get to help you with leveling a new character or an alt. So let me go over here, grab my leveling gear. Okay. I don't think... Okay, cool. So there are 3 things that you can get. Let me pull this up so I can link this. Okay, so the first item that you can get, and it's the easiest one, is you can get the brand new ring. So the brand new ring is a ring that will give you 30% increased experience earned when you are level 30 and below. Okay. And you get this ring. Let me pull this up here. You get this ring by completing all of the Adventure Guild trials for a singular role, which you will do via the Hall of the Novice. Okay. So this game has a system in place called the Novice system, the Mentor system. And I mentioned this at the start. If you see a character that has this little sprout icon, they're a new player. And if you see one that has the sprout with the crown, they're a returning player. If you go to your duties and you go to Hall of the Novice, okay, this will give you a list of training exercises, okay? If you complete all of these, you will get all of these for one role. So if you get on like a DPS class and you do all the DPS, and they're basically just like tutorials for how to play, right? How do I DPS as a samurai? I don't know. Defeat an occupied target. So it's going to teach you these skills. If you complete these, you will get that ring, right? So that'll help you anytime you're leveling anything 30% or below, which is basically all your classes. Your jobs start at level 30 or higher. The next item that you can get, let's see, let me find it. It's always annoying to try to find this thing. The next item you can get is a headband. And the headband is the Friendship Circlet, I believe is what this is called. Yeah, the Friendship Circlet. And you get the Friendship Circlet by activating Recruit a Friend. Oh yeah, it's always confusing because they make it a banner on here. So I'm going to go ahead and post mine in chat. So if you sign up and you use that code, that will get you into the Recruit a Friend program with me. And along the way, you will wind up getting the Friendship Circlet. So this increases your XP earned by 20% when level 25 and below. So if you do the Recruit a Friend and you finish your little Hall of the Novice trials, you'll have 50% XP below level 25. You'll have 30 below level 30. The last thing that you can do is you can get Minfinia's Earring. So this is a special pre-order item for Endwalker. So Endwalker, again, is the new expansion coming out for Final Fantasy XIV. It's coming out this November. If you pre-order just the basic edition, you don't have to pre-order a special edition or anything like that. You will get Minfinia's Earring, and you will also get a minion, a pet. Minfinia's Earring increases XP earned by 30% when level 80 and below. It also will scale with you for stats. So the Friendship Circlet doesn't give you any stats. The ring gives you some stats, but they don't scale. The earrings, you can use these the entire time you're leveling. So if you have all three of these, then you're looking at 80% increased XP below level 25, 60% below level 30, and 30% below level 80. So this is how you can get a nice big boost to your XP going. So these two, pretty easy. Use the Recruit a Friend code that I posted there when you sign up. Do your trials, you're good to go. And then what I would say is, you know, if you think you're really going to get invested in Final Fantasy XIV, or you finish leveling your main character and you decide, yeah, actually, I really like this game, I want to do some more classes and stuff, then, you know, hit the pre-order and grab Minfinia's earring. So, Athene, hey, what's up, man? One tune all rolls concept is pretty cool. The crafting I haven't got into. PvP, I have heard PvP is awful. Fortunately for me, I don't care about PvP. So we're good there. So if I start a new character, what server are you on? So if I need help, you can come to my rescue. I am on Midgar Sormir. I think you can see it up here in the corner. So this is my server. And right now, you're able to play the game through the first expansion, so you can play from 1 to 60 for free. And you can play the game through Steam, or you can download the game through like the Square Enix website, which is the way I have it downloaded. I don't have mine through Steam. Pay to win. Yeah, I know. Totally pay to win. With them XP boosts. So this is something that they intentionally do on purpose. So you know how before Shadowlands, WoW did the nice little XP boost thing, and then we were like, hey, keep it going, and they like kind of kept it going for a little while. Like Final Fantasy does that basically every expansion. So with these earrings, they do it on purpose. So this is the third iteration of those earrings, I think, third or fourth. So the next expansion that comes out, if they increase it to level 90 or whatever, the pre-order will include the earrings that give you the boost. They do this every time because they want people to level up their alt classes and jobs and stuff in the gap between the end of one expansion to another. So they always have this as a promo, which I think is pretty cool that they encourage that stuff. So, are the non-skip cutscenes still a part of the daily dungeons you need to get gear? No, you can skip them, but if you're talking about specifically, if you're talking about the main scenario queue, yes, you can't skip these. You can skip all the other ones though. It's only the main scenario that gets locked. And I honestly don't even bother with the main scenario. I know it gives a lot of XP, but I just don't care. I do other stuff. So I did want to end off on some content here, like some actual gameplay. So I think I'm going to queue up for something I'm going to level in Palace of the Dead. That way, since I talked about it so much, you guys can actually see it. But I'm not really sure what class I want to take in there. I need to take something that is below level 60. What do you guys think? Tank? I'm not going to heal. Tank, melee DPS, physical range DPS, or magical DPS. If it's tank, I'm going to be doing Gladiator or Dark Knight. Melee DPS, I'll be doing a class, so it won't be quite as interesting. I kind of want to do Machinist, Dark Knight, Red Mage, any of those really. Yeah, we'll see if anybody wants to chip in with a preferred thing to check out, and if so, I'll play that. If not, I'm just going to queue up with whatever. I don't think I do have the Machinist arm. Okay. I've got all the stuff in here that I have. Anybody? My chat's a little bit behind, so there's going to be a weird little delay here, but got Pugilist because Fear wants to punish me with a basic with a basic class with like 4 abilities. We got Machinist. We'll go Machinist. I wanted to play Machinist. Okay, so I did mention, right? You've got to be level 30 on the classes to unlock the jobs to actually... Look at that whale! It's a whale mount. Come back. Whale. So in what I was just saying there is like... let me show you guys real quick the difference here. If I were to go pugilist, the abilities that I would have are basically going to be maybe these, like 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 10 abilities. With Machinist, I'm going to have all the way up to level 60. So I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18 abilities. So a lot more abilities to play with in here. Although that being said, I'm not going to know what the hell I'm doing because I have not touched Machinist, but that is totally fine. We're going to set up our action bar here real quick. You guys can see this is me. This is old school, like WoW style. Let's set up our action bars. That's what we're going to do here. Okay, so what we actually want to do since we're Machinist, now I'm only level 30, right? So technically I don't have all these abilities, but when I go into Palace of the Dead, I will have up to level 60. So let's figure it out. I already kind of have a system here for stuff. I don't care about the teleports. I don't care about the play guide. So what do we got? We're going to figure out Machinist here pretty quick. All right, so we've got our basic attack deals a heat gauge. Combo with split shot or heated shot. Okay. Where is... Oh, heated shot is probably... Yeah, that's one I... Heated split shot. There we go. Okay. So split shot or heated split shot, which we are going to have access to that, I think. Yeah, okay. So this is an easy way to check. Split shot becomes heated split shot once you hit level 54. Because if you noticed, when I put it on my bar, it actually just changed to split shot. So we've got split shot into slug shot. Okay. And then we've got a just castable weapon skill that we can use there. Okay. We've got leg graze. So this is going to be a roll ability, which I don't really care about any of these. We're going to get second wind. I do want, that's a nice heal. Yeah, so we don't care about, oh, maybe that one. Okay. So right now we literally just have like 4 or 5 abilities. So we have reassemble, guarantees the next weapon is a critical hit. Okay, that's a nice little buff that we have there. We've got Gauss round. Okay, so these are just regular attacks. All right, so what do we got? Spread shots. So that's our AoE. Easy enough. Clean shot combines with slug shot or heated slug shot. Okay, so that's our third step of our combo. So we'll do split into slug into clean shot. Hypercharge. Release the energy building in your firearm, causing it to become overheated. Okay, so that's going to cost us heat gauge. Heat blast. Okay, deals the damage. Can only be executed when we're overheated. Okay. Then we got our auto turret. We need the battery gauge for that. Battery gauge cost is 50. We'll figure that out. Rook overdrive. Okay, make the turret overload. Wildfire is a big DPS cooldown with like 120 second cooldown. Ricochet is another AoE. Auto crossbow is another AoE when we're overheated. My guy looks really dumb. Tactician. Okay, Tactician is a damage debuff. Drill is another ability that we can use off the global cooldown. And then we have Heated Slug Shot, which should be upgraded from that. That should be it. That should be all we have to worry about. So we've got our AoEs here. We've got our turrets. Some kind of crazy detonator. We've got our overheat stuff here. We've got our off GCD. We got a little damage buff there. Should be good. I look like a dork, but that's okay. All right. So we need to get rid of my progress. And let's queue up. Match party, and we're going to start at floor 51. I've literally not looked at this class at all before, so I just set it up right there in that moment. Check back with me in a month when I get to 80. Well, it took me a long ass time to get to 80. I boosted. Got to 50, boosted to 70, and then I leveled 70 to 80 in about a weekend. Okay. So I'm going to have some gauges that show up. Another thing, I can go... it's not going to show me. Okay, we're in the queue. Let's go. I'm probably not going to explain this too much. Who am I kidding? It's me. I will. So you can see all these abilities are available now. Because technically my character is level 60 in here. Okay, so one of these is the heat gauge, one of these is the battery gauge. One. That was a... Alright, so I've got a basic combo here, right? Heated split shot into heated slug shot into clean shot. Right, that builds up heat for me. And then we've got hot shot. Oh, that increases our battery gauge. Okay, we've got Gauss round. Okay. Cool. I gotta catch up to these guys. Oh, good. I'm still figuring out how to play. They're running ahead. Once I get the Machinist figured out, I'll explain more about Palace of the Dead. Oh, it was giving me that tip off to the side. Heat gauge unlocked. Blinded. Hey, we've got our... Oh, we can hypercharge now. Oh, let's use our AoEs. Oh, nope, never mind. That is an interesting way to shoot a gun. Okay. I don't really want to overheat yet. There's our AoEs. So this one has a... Okay, that's just a straight up like filler attack. Cool, we'll move that over there. So basically what we're doing right now is we're casting these three to increase our heat bar. It looks like. Oh, someone got hit with a toad trap. And then when our heat bar gets high enough, we can hypercharge, and then we can use Heat Blast. So let's hypercharge. Oh, that's sexy. Nice. Okay, does that cost heat? No, it can only execute when you are overheated. Got it. Oh, this epic piano music. So every time we take that little portal, we're going up a floor. Let me make sure. Get some more sound effects going here. Okay, so to overheat, we have to be 50. So we get up to 50 heat. Heat it is. Now we'll be able to overheat. Don't get me with a trap, man. If you guys have questions, keep pumping them in. I know I'm learning good old Machinist here, but I'll answer questions, and I will talk about Palace of the Dead more specifically here in a minute. Damn, that thing hit pretty hard. Is this a combo? Okay, it's not. Deals damage to all nearby enemies with a potence of 150 for the first. Okay, this one's just 180 in a cone. Got it. Spooky music. I love the soundtrack for this game. Like, seriously. Alright, so we're ready to overheat. We're also ready to put out our turret, too. Let's go ahead and... I don't want to overheat yet. I don't want to waste it. Oh, God, this music is epic as hell. Alright, so then when we drop below 50, it looks like we're no longer overheated. Tank, what are you doing? Oh, hey. Is each level equal content, or are some floors larger than others? Some floors are larger than others. I think I got a handle on what I'm doing here for the most part. At least good enough. Okay, so I came in here. I'm level 60, right? That has to do with, you know, just progressing through the floors. What we're doing is we're running the 10 set floors from 51 to 60. The way this is laid out is you have these different squares. Each room is a square that's going to have like different stuff in it. So it'll have enemies. It might have treasure chests. It might have a special, you know, item or something like that inside of it. And you're progressing through the rooms with the goal of activating the teleporter to the next one. Why me, man? So sometimes you have to kill like a certain number of enemies. Sometimes it's, you know, we'll just randomly, you know, activate the next teleporter. There's like 3 different types of chests you can get. Ooh, oh, I almost had to heat me up, bro. Heat me up. Overheat. Wow, that seemed kind of lame. So these silver chests are the ones that level up your arms or kill you. I got a trap. So character info. I'll show you this real quick. If you remember when I was talking about Palace of the Dead, I mentioned that your gear in here is not tied to what you're wearing outside. It's tied to your Aether Pole arm and armor. So when you find silver treasure chests on the floors, they have a chance to upgrade your armor, basically. So I almost always try to get those. The stronger your arms and armor, the better your character is equipped in here. These little like red and yellow ones are just normal. They're just normal treasure chests, and they usually have an item or they have a pomander in them, which I'll explain what those are in a minute. And then you also have chests that can contain what are called like relics of the ancient horde. And those give you things that you can turn in for random rewards outside of the Palace of the Dead. My cute little unicorn pet, I actually got from running this. I got a gold chest. It had a bag in it. I opened the bag outside after the dungeon, and it had that minion in it. So in the regular chest, you can unlock pomanders. Pomanders are items that you can use as you're going through the different floors. All these over here are pomanders. So I have one here that says decreases the number of enemies on the next floor. So I could cast that just for fun. And now we have the item effect of decreased number of enemies on the next floor. You may have some that let you transform into a monster. You might have some that will turn enemies into frogs or boost your party's attack or defense. All sorts of different effects that you can find on these pomanders. And strategic use of those is important when you're trying to progress through high levels of the dungeon. Oh shit, a mimic. Now generally for this level, like once you have your Aether Pole arm and armor above like level 40, the floor 50 to 60, you don't really need the pomanders to win. So you'll see these people ignoring a lot of them. Like they're not even getting these. I'm grabbing them just because, why not? They're here. Another mimic. Y'all gonna kill this thing and still not... Yeah, see, they don't give a damn about this. Also, when you get onto a floor, sometimes there are random negative effects. Like that one said, like, no knockback, which could be good or bad. It means the enemies can't knock you back, and you can't knock them back. But sometimes you'll get some that are like, oh, decreased max HP, or, you know, this or that, or whatever. Let's see, we got a Pomander of Sight. Somebody used it. That's a trap. So there are traps. I'm going to hit this one just to... Yeah, so this one turned me into a toad. So now all I can do is auto attack. So yeah, there's traps, there's treasure chests, there's different monsters, there's the pomanders you can get, there's the treasure chests that give you the upgrades to your arms and armor, there's the relic ones where you can get like pets or transmog items or whatever outside. Outside of Palace of the Dead. Now, my character... I was level 30 with 0 XP towards my character level on my Machinist. Dang it, Mimic. I really want to drop this bot, but I'm kind of just saving the battery power. The last dungeon, floor number 60, is going to have a boss on it. Yeah, so here damage dealt decreased. Sometimes you can get a pomander that will remove that stuff, but we don't have one. Here's another silver one. Oh no, that's a regular one. These guys are probably like, stop triggering the mimics. All right, so we are on the next to last floors. We're on floor 59, so if someone else doesn't use it, I'm going to use our Potion of Rage, our Pomander of Rage. Turn into this big manticore. Yeah, so this is one of the things you can do. These little gold things of light, that's where we can find those cursed horde things. So we've gotten 2. Oh, get the coffer. There you go. All right, so the next floor is going to be the boss. And this is after the boss. This is where I'll basically exit. You have the chance to exit after every 10 levels. And that's also where you'll get your chunk of XP. This boss is not very mechanics heavy. All right, let's drop our little auto turret. Yeah, this guy's not too bad. This dude's getting wrecked. Yeah, this is one of the easier bosses in here. He just puts like a couple AoEs to stay out of on the ground. And that's it. That's like one run of Palace of the Dead. I'll exit here and you'll see, like I said, I had like 0 progress towards level 30. It looks like I didn't get I almost got a full level from that. So I got, yeah, like 80, 90% of the level from doing that. And if we come back out, you see like a bunch of these abilities that I have, I can't use. Because, again, they're not level appropriate. I haven't unlocked them yet, but I was able to use them and try them out in Palace of the Dead. So... So what most people are doing is they run that, then they go out, they delete their save file that they just did, and they do 50 to 60 again. And just kind of keep grinding that out for XP. Because the runs are pretty, you know, they're pretty straightforward, they're pretty easy. I'd say they're kind of a slog if you don't have your classes up to level 30 where you've unlocked the jobs, because then you have like half the abilities. Midgar Stormer might not be accepting new players right this second. And even if they're not, you can play... I think... let me check real quick. 1 second. Okay, let's see. New characters cannot be created on congested worlds. So the congested worlds will also mean that there are just too many people logged in right now. Not that Midgarstormer won't ever take new characters, but just that like right this second, there's there's a ton of people on just in this one place. Currently, the only place that seems to be accepting new characters is Siren. And also, I'm going to pull this up for you guys because I mentioned this at the start and I wanted to show this anyway. Okay, so we're in the North American Data Center. That's what I'm looking at here. There are 3 of these, I don't know what you call them. Groups? Let me see. Visiting is a thing that they were adding. Data center travel. Okay, let me see. New data center announced. Okay, so the data center travel, this is coming up in Endwalker, will allow you to go play on other data centers than the one you usually play and first made your characters on. Basically, this means anyone in the world will be able to play with each other. So normally you can play like with other people on the same data server. And they're actually making it so that data centers can play with each other as well. So even if you can't create on Midgarstormer right now, you may be able to in a couple hours when people log off. Because it's not like WoW where like the server's just full. Like they base this on the amount of people actually logged in now. But the other thing that I would say is right now in the Aether group, Sargatanis is a preferred server, and the preferred server here, I'll get the exact preferred worlds. Here we go. Relatively populated, sparsely populated worlds with room to spare. Let's see. Players that go there get special bonuses. Character creation bonus on preferred worlds. You get double XP bonus until level 70. You get a gift of 10 silver chocobo feathers exchangeable for low to mid-level gear to improve the leveling experience. So, and then bonuses for characters creating during bonus period that attain level 30 in any class is you get 15 days of free playtime. Limited to once per service account when creating a new character on either world. So for your very, very first character, if you wanted to get the double XP bonus, I would actually hit up one of these preferred worlds. If you can. If you're worried about that. But that being said, like we'll still be able to play together and stuff. It's not server locked. It has like cross-realm stuff like World of Warcraft. This will primarily, I think, come up when it comes to trading and being in the same guild. So I wonder if I was able to make a new character on it because I had one from before, possibly, or there might just not have been as many people logged in at that time. Only one on that world is Siren. Do you have to be on the same server to play together? No. Yep, we could run dungeons together. Yep, absolutely. And I will straight up tell you guys, 100% real talk here. I'll run dungeons and stuff with you guys on Final Fantasy if y'all are wanting to play. Like this is basically the MMO that I'm playing at the moment. And the fact that I can invest everything into one character and I have so many like jobs and stuff to level up means that I'm like Palace of the Dead groups, dungeon groups, trial groups, you know, whatever. I am up for playing all that stuff. So you guys can see my character name here in the game, Tsetzuko Onyx. You gotta have a first and a last name. So that's my name here in the game. Y'all feel free to send me a request. If you have the option to add a note, just let me know who you are from YouTube or whatever. And yeah, I'm on quite a lot. I don't have a ridiculously large friends list or anything like that, so definitely always welcoming people that want to play. So I don't know. I think the big difference for me is... Oh, yeah, I wanted to open my bags. I believe in the investment in Final Fantasy XIV. And I have a hard time doing that in a lot of MMOs, which is why I end up not playing a lot of them. It's the reason, one of the major reasons that I stopped playing World of Warcraft is because I stopped believing in the investment. I stopped believing that my time spent with my characters was going to pay off, was going to be worth it. And between all the grinding and the having to have multiple characters and the rep grinds and the loot treadmill and everything else, I just felt like my time investment was a bad investment. And I don't feel that way on 14. Oh, I wanted to mention a really cool feature coming up in Final Fantasy XIV, because we talked about the housing and I talked about how much of a pain in the ass it was because you've got to buy a plot and it's super expensive and yada, yada, yada. In Endwalker, they're coming out with the Island Sanctuary, and it's going to be an island that you get, not plots and stuff like housing, but it's going to be an island that you get. And man, I need to find this. We need to watch this. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube, because they haven't talked about it a whole lot. But it's going to be kind of like Animal Crossing, I think. And I don't want to watch someone else's video like I'm Asmongold or something. Let's see. Let me see if I can find something here. But yeah, it's supposed to be like Animal Crossing. The level cap's going up to level 90. New side quest, new gear. Oh yeah, Golden Saucer update. I'm pretty pumped about that. I don't know what the update is, but let's see. Let me pop this over here real quick. So there's the Golden Saucer update, you know, whatever that entails. But this is the picture that they have for the Island Sanctuary. Okay, so everyone's supposed to get their own island. You're supposed to be able to like grow vegetables and raise animals and decorate it. And look at this tiny little otter with the freaking hat. I'm actually really excited about this. Like, because this is going to be a thing that I think is going to be not equivalent to housing, but it's going to be like housing that everybody's going to have access to. I'm like, between Triple Triad and the Island Sanctuary, I think I have my like FF14 Endgame figured out. So, thanks, Cass. I leveled several to 60-ish, and then Shadowbringers dropped, and I ended up going back to WoW. I really like the healers and magic DPS. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, give me the tanks and the melees. All right, let's see what I got out of these bags. I got 2 pieces of the Accursed Horde. Trousers of Shrieking. Okay. So that should be a transmog. And I got a magicked prism. Huh. Okay. So that's like a seasonal item that I got there. I got another one too earlier. I got this Leminson Sparkler. Sparkles. I guess it's seasonally appropriate. Is there a better time to use it? He's on fire! I want this tank. Look at that tank. I want it. Oh, I want that tank. Damn, I gotta get that. That is from a Beast Tribe rep grind. And I wants it. This game does have a cash shop with mounts and costumes and stuff like that in it, but none of it is gameplay, pay-to-win stuff. But if you're trying to get away from the fact that WoW sells mounts and stuff in its store, so does Final Fantasy, but generally there's more stuff in Final Fantasy. Although I looked through it all, and honestly, like, I think most of the cool stuff is in-game. The store has a lot of stuff that's like, make your character look like Titus from Final Fantasy X, or, you know, Lightning from Final Fantasy XIII. Anyway, guys, that's what I got. I'm running out of vocal power. I did not expect this to be a 3-hour stream, but here we are. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. A surprisingly high amount of concurrent viewers here for this stream, so that was pretty cool. If you guys are enjoying the Final Fantasy XIV content and you are interested in more live streams or actual, you know, guides or shortened forms of content, please let me know. I wanted to make this as kind of like a here's everything I can give you, I guess, in a 3-hour stream. I know that's not easy to reference. But if you guys would like to see some guides and stuff or more content on Final Fantasy XIV, let me know. In the upcoming future here, I've got this. There's a new Path of Exile League, which I may or may not play. Lost Ark, the beta might be coming out. If that does come out, then I'll be streaming that here on the channel at some point. And then Orcs Must Die 3 is another game I'm looking forward to quite a bit, coming out on July 23rd. So that's really what's on my radar. That's what you'll probably see here on the channel, is any of those games: Path of Exile, Final Fantasy XIV, Orcs Must Die 3, or Lost Ark in the upcoming month, 2 months. There's not a lot coming out in August, honestly. That's all that interesting to me. But yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks again, you guys, for tuning into the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely had fun chatting and talking with you guys. If you have any more questions, leave them on this video, and I'll do my best to either answer them or make a video about them. So, I got a pot roast to make. It's not going to be done till 11 p.m. Yeah, it's not going to be done until like 11 p.m. But I'm on nights, so that's perfectly fine. All right, you guys, if you watch the stream and you're playing Final Fantasy XIV and you are interested in playing with me, hit me up on the Discord, add me as a friend. I'm probably going to be playing some more this evening, but I got to check in with the wife and see what she's up to. And if she's doing her own thing, I'll probably be on, and you guys can hit me up. All right. Been on a while break, been playing ESO, but may come back to FF14 and give it some time. Hey, you know, new expansion coming out, new stories. If you haven't actually played Shadowbringers, I really like the story, and I recommend that you play through the MSQ and check it out. It's pretty cool. It's got a lot of characters I like in it, so yeah, at least come back and check that out. All right, everyone, that's it. That's gonna do it for real. Thanks again. I'll see you on the next stream. Peace.